Let's do this. Last chapters. All 5. I think we can do it. Chapter 15. The shop called Tanks and Teas was a shabby establishment behind the Shipwreck Tavern. The workspace looked like a collection of flotsam and jetsam, while the staff looked like shipwreck survivors. Nevertheless, the 30 shirts were ready when Quilleran arrived, and the proprietors were proud to be filling such a large order for such an important event. I was told to inspect them, Quilleran said. The pennant race is a class act, and the promoters are fussy. The inspection revealed that the daubers had their name misspelled. 3 shirts had to be redone. While waiting, Quilleran had an early lunch at the Nasty Pasty, and then wandered into Elizabeth's boutique. It was Tuesday, and there were no customers. She came running toward him. Quill, I saw Derek briefly this morning before his classes, and he had good news. The bartender was fired last night. On what grounds? I don't know. Derek wasn't told, and I didn't ask. And he was simply glad to get rid of that man, not to mention the awkward situation with Monkey, his girlfriend. She's been there every night wanting to talk to Derek. Who will be the replacement? Derek could make some recommendations, but his policy is to do a good job and learn all he can without getting involved. He wants to give it 1 full year. Then if he takes my advice, he'll put all his smelly clothes in a heap and leave a bonfire.
Okay.
Well, put a clothespin on your nose if necessary, but stick with Derek, Quilleran advised. He has potential. Those who know him have always been convinced of that. But it remained for you to come on the scene and be the good influence. Oh, Quill, that's so kind of you to say. Pause already and take a break. There's already a paw on the page, so drink up, eh? When he delivered the T-shirts to Hixie, he picked up his fan mail from the office manager. She looked a trifle wan, as if the warm-up had been too strenuous for her. He said, You and Wilfred did an efficient job backstage last night. Thank you, she said demurely. Would you like me to slit the envelopes for you? I'd appreciate that. Since she was not her usual talkative self, he left without pressing the conversation. The Tuesday edition was newly off the press, and he picked up a copy in the lobby. There on the front page was an item that caused him to huff into his mustache. Already huffing. Goody goody. Pickaxe to get Memorial Park. A much-needed expansion to the Pickaxe Cemetery has been made possible through the sudden availability of a suitable site. 4 acres in the southeast corner of the intersection of Trevelyan and Cemetery Roads. City Council voted last night to buy the land for $6,000 an acre. A spokesperson for the city said, It meets the specific needs of a cemetery. High land without rocks, it's adjacent to the original burial grounds and away from city traffic, with plenty of roadside parking for funeral processions. Unlike the original cemetery with its assortment of monuments, the new extension will be a memorial park. This follows the trend to broad expanse of lawn with grave markers recessed in the grass, said the spokesperson. Bereaved families will find welcome serenity in the uninterrupted sweep of beautiful lawn. Also, it will facilitate mowing, providing better maintenance at a lower cost. Quilleran pounded his mustache.
Oh my god.
Pounded it again. He's getting real angry.
What does that even mean? I'm just imagining full frontal fisting like this.
Ow, fuck.
Oh my god.
Jesus, yeah.
Punch yourself.
Well, that's what I'm imagining he's doing.
Well, I'm not just
straight up punching himself in
no,
the face.
I know it's supposed to be like all acquisitive, like a blowjob.
it's very much like a blowjob.
I know it's supposed to be
exactly
like a blowjob,
like.
but I'm imagining
a slow, sensual blowjob, obviously. Not one of those fast ones, because he's not going. He's going.
No, he's thinking. He thinks about how to please. Sorry.
He pounded his mustache in annoyance and drove directly to Amanda Goodwinter's design studio. He strode into the shop, waving the newspaper. I voted against it, she said angrily, jumping up from the desk. 6,000 an acre? Can you guess what that rat paid for it? I bet he gave the poor woman not more than 1,100 an acre. Do you know his identity? Of course I know, and I wouldn't trust that robber to hold my ice cream cone. The property was in his wife's name. Naturally. He'd promised Mrs. Coggin he'd reserve the land for growing crops. It didn't take him long to change his mind. And I wouldn't put it past him to burn down her house to speed matters. That's an incendiary remark, Amanda. Arr. Is there any chance of an investigation? Nah. He's got everybody in his pocket, including the mayor. Even Scott Gipple voted yes for the cemetery deal. Do you know why? He got a bid in to sell the county a fleet of maintenance trucks.
Nice.
I heard somewhere that what's-his-name was accused at one time of watering the liquor in his bar. No comment, she said, folding her arms across her chest and setting her jaw. But it turned out that the bartender was the culprit. No comment. As Quilleran started to leave the studio, he asked in a lighter vein, Are you looking forward to the big bash tomorrow night? In a word, no. But somebody has to do it, she said grouchily. Amanda was one of the celebrities who would add glamour to the spell game. It was conventional wisdom and pickaxe that she would go anywhere and do anything to get votes and or publicity for her studio. Before driving home, Quilleran bought 3 more carnations. The florist was brimming with curiosity, although she knew not to ask questions. He returned to his van in time to see police and fire vehicles speeding down Main Street with sirens wailing. They were ahead of him as he drove towards Part Circle. Then he saw smoke, a thin column of it arising on the left, and the emergency vehicles were stopping. Northbound traffic was halted. He parked in a merchant's driveway, leaving his press card under the windshield wiper, and ran toward a scene of general commotion. The focus of the disturbance was the front of the library, where a dozen protesters were marching with picket signs. They seemed to be having a good time. Onlookers were laughing, and police and firemen had to struggle to control their grins. The signs read, Pull the plug, down with computers, we want the old catalog.
Whoa, whoa.
That's right, down with it. The smoke was coming from a backyard barbecue where patrons were burning their library cards. It's fantastic.
That's fucking fantastic.
That's fucking fantastic. Quilleran himself felt sentimental about the old card catalog and sympathized with the demonstrators, knowing their protest to be futile. Polly's assistant stood on the top step, uncertain how to react. Obviously, the media had been notified. Roger McGilvery was there with his camera, and a WPKX news reporter was thrusting a mic in front of rebellious volunteers and patrons. Hurrying back to his van, Quilleran apologized to the shopkeeper for parking in the drive and was immediately forgiven. No one ever begrudged the Klingenschone heir a small favor. To avoid the traffic snarl around Park Circle, he then turned around and drove home the back way, via Trevlian Road. At the art center, he saw Thornton's van in the parking lot and went into the building, where he found the white-haired volunteer at the reception desk in the foyer. What are you doing here? Quilleran asked. Making visitors wipe their feet, answering questions, and trying to sell memberships. And what are you doing here, if I may ask? I'm on my way home after witnessing a remarkable incident. Library volunteers picketing to protest automation, and patrons burning their library cards. That's no great shake. We're all getting new plastic cards anyway. Did you see the cemetery news on page 1? I certainly did. Why not come to the barn when you're through here, and we'll talk about it. When Thornton finally appeared, they settled in the library area with coffee, and the stonecutter began his harangue. So, the city fathers are giving bereaved families a memorial park. I've been working with bereaved families for 3 decades, and I don't see they're going to derive much comfort from 4 acres of well-clipped grass. What they want is a 10-foot Celtic cross or a slab of granite with some words of solace chipped into the polished face. A visible memorial they could visit and talk to and point out to their grandchildren. Plus, maybe a memorial bench where they can sit and meditate. Quilleran said, "Did you ever see a traditional cemetery in the late afternoon with all the stones facing west and the sun hitting them? It's a sight to stir the emotions. Is it a thing of the past?" "Looks like it. We are phasing out our stonework and concentrating on sand and gravel. Do you know who sold the old land to the city? There was no name in the paper. Chester Ramsbottom, although the property was in his wife's name. That old sharpie. No doubt he bought it for practically nothing." Thornton peered across the room. "Is that a checker set? Wouldn't figure you for a checker player. Chess, maybe, but not checkers." "It's just an interesting relic," Quilleran said. "I pick up old things that appeal to me. Would you like to see its 17th century compass?"
Okay, you can't complain. Don't even complain.
Dude, I know it's cool. I don't care.
No, I'm saying you pick up old things.
I don't care. I don't like him. He annoys me.
It's because he reminds you of yourself.
No, it's because he strokes his mustache all the time. It reminds me of someone else.
Oh, fuck you. Wow. I'm making you a sewer.
Oh my god, really?
Very nice. Yeah, so it's all the bottom shit. So.
The treasure was safely stored in a desk drawer, away from inquisitive paws. He put it on the desktop. "Come and look at it under the lamp. It has some very fine detail." Coco thought he was included in the invitation, and the 3 of them watched the compass card quivering and rotating under the glass. "When it settles down, it'll be pointing to the dining room, which is north." Thornton... Oh, God.
Oh, my.
Thornton was impressed. "Can you imagine anything so delicate lasting all those years?
Yeah.
I have a plastic compass that's brand new and not worth a tinker's damn. They don't make things as good as they used to." Well, maybe you just shouldn't buy a plastic compass. Maybe that's the reason.
Yeah, and also classes.
Oh, very, very, though.
Magellan.
Stealthily, Coco was moving his nose closer to the strange object. Quilleran was watching him. The nose twitched, the whiskers curved forward, the card started to quiver and move. In a few moments, the North Star was pointing towards the kitchen. "That's west," Thornton exclaimed. "Is that what you call animal magnetism? How do you explain it?" "What cats do can never be explained," said Quilleran.
No, he's so quirky.
Lightly, at the same time wishing he could confide in someone about Coco's uncanny talents. He picked up the squirming, protesting cat, and the star returned to the north. "Try it with the female," Thornton suggested. Yum Yum was lifted to the desktop and showed interest in the shiny brass inlay of the lid, but ignored the instrument itself. "Try it once more with the male." Again, Coco's nose sent the cards slowly moving until the star pointed west. "I'm going home," he said. "This is getting spooky. Will you sign an affidavit, Quill? My wife will never believe me." "Before you go, you must see Phoebe's butterflies. They are on the second balcony." They walked up the ramp, followed by the Siamese waving tails like flags. In the guest room, 2 painted ladies were flitting about their enclosure, while 3 future ladies remained in the chrysalis stage, clinging to the ceiling of the box. Yum Yum was the most excited of the 4 observers. She knew they were insects, and insects of all kinds were her specialty. Coco was bored. With all the birds of the forest attending his gazebo parties, why should he flick a whisker over a butterfly? Thornton was impressed and declared he would buy some caterpillars for his grandchildren. As the 2 men walked toward Thornton's van, Quilleran asked, "Was Phoebe in her studio today?" "Not a sign of her. I hope she's not getting cold feet about the spell game. She strikes me as being a little flighty." "Papilionaceous," Quilleran said. If you say so. Pause and take a break. There's a paw on the page, so drink up, babe. When his visitor had gone, Quilleran could think of many things to discuss with Rollo McBee. The Northern Land Improvement hoax, Ramsbottom, not XYZ, as purchaser of the Coggin land, the sale to the city at $6,000 an acre, and increasing doubts about the commissioner's integrity. This was not an auspicious hour to go looking for a farmer, however. The trick was to catch him between supper and evening chores. Meanwhile, he sat down to deal with his fan mail. Oh God. I thought, I was like, that's it. It's just, you started like, oh my fucking big stack of fan mail. I'm so goddamn cool. Because, I mean, how many article writers to any newspaper have fan mail?
I don't know, but I don't
think it's that high is all I'm saying.
Well, I think it's maybe like once a month, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
But, I was like, okay, he's flexing his group of fan pages again. Good. That's it. Nope. Now I get 2 pages of fucking letters. I get 2 pages because she had to bring it back. She just fucking had to. Fucking Lilian Jackson Braun! There was one businesslike envelope with a California postmark and the address in large print. The name in the left-hand corner was Martha V. Snyder. He read that one first. Dear Jim, I remember you when your name was Merlin and your ambition was to play with the Chicago Cubs. I know you remember me, although by another name. I am your Mrs. Fisheye, and I have been following your column in the Moose County something. I have a granddaughter who trains racehorses in Lockmaster, and she sends me everything you write. Not only do I applaud your writing skills, but I am enormously flattered to know that I was a good influence. When I was teaching you and your unpromising classmates in Chicago, oh my God, like, what's a salty ass little bitch? Like, I remember your fucking class. They were a bunch of dum-dums. You're the only one that came out of there being able to write. Still saying it, still thinking about it, still remembering.
Because his curls. He had curls. Dark
Unpromising classmates. I don't even think a teacher would say that just because they're, like, weird. And they're like, no, I won't talk ill of any of my students.
I think they were like, okay, that's not true.
When I was teaching you and your unpromising classmates in Chicago, it was no secret that the entire student body called me by a descriptive but uncomplimentary nickname. Fortunately, I had a sense of humor. Unfortunately, the prominent feature that inspired the sobriquet failed me in later life, and I am now a VIP, visually impaired person. This letter is being dictated to a talking computer, and since electronic spell checks are less reliable than retired teachers of English, someone will proofread this letter. I'm sure you know the story, possibly apocryphal, about a newspaper item concerning the beautiful paramour of a famous man. A similiterate computer produced a memorable gaffe referring to his beautiful power mower. Your recent column expressing your gratitude to Mrs. Fisheye was doubly appreciated, coming 40 years after the fact. Keep up the good work. Your columns are read aloud by gracious volunteers at the residence where I am comfortably ensconced. And they enjoy them too. Give me my regards to Coco and Yum Yum. Gratefully, Martha V. Snyder. So much. Why? Like, you could say this is cute. It's nice. But it's not. It's Lilian Jackson Braun's fantasy of my teacher came back and was like, you're actually, like, really smart and really funny, and you were smarter than everyone else in school. I just had to say that for no reason.
I have no words. That's all.
At the bottom of the letter, there was a handwritten note by the volunteer proofreader saying, the computer spelled your cat's names C-O-C-O. Mrs. Snyder says it knows more about Chanel than about Gilbert and Sullivan. Oh, ho, ho. After the shock and pleasure of hearing from Mrs. Fisheye, he made himself a cup of coffee and lounged in his favorite chair, thinking. He thought about school days, his early success in journalism, his foolishness in throwing it all away, his struggle to regain his career, and his present good fortune. Whimsically, he thought of Mrs. Fisheye and Auntie Fanny Klingenschone as a pair of hookends supporting the volumes of his adult life. In this mood of reverie, he completely forgot Rollo McBee until Coco climbed on the back of his chair and yowled in his ear. When he phoned the farm, a young voice answered, and he said, "This is Jim Quilleran. Is your father there?" "Yep, he's here." There was a pause. "May I speak to him?" "Okay." "Dad!" The farmer came to the phone, and Quilleran said, "First, I want to tell you how sorry I am about the tragedy in your family." "It was hard to take," Rollo said. "Family was planning a cruise to Alaska, had their tickets and everything. Happened just like that." Rollo snapped his fingers. "How are things with you?" "I have some information to share. How busy are you?" "Just finished supper." "If I walk down to my mailbox, would you care to meet me there?" "Sure, say when." "Give me 15 minutes, Rollo." Before starting out, Quilleran fed the cats, realizing that Coco's yowl had been about food and not about Rollo. The farmer was waiting on the shoulder of the road. He kicked the post supporting Maud's dilapidated mailbox. "How long does this baby have to stay there? I could use the post on the farm." "It would improve the neighborhood if you dispose of the eyesore and the newspaper sleeve too." "She never got much mail," Rollo said. "I used to check it every day and take her newspaper to her. She got it free. Who knows if she read it? She rolled the papers up tight, tied them with twine, and soaked them in water. When they dried out, she'd use them for firewood." "Speaking of newspapers, did you see today's front page?" "Haven't had time to look at it yet." "Well, 4 acres of Maud's land up at the intersection of Cemetery and Trevelyan has been sold to the city for $6,000 an acre." Rollo banged the old mailbox with his fist. "I knew that Northern Land Improvement bunch was out to jipper." "There's no such firm. The purchaser was Chester Ramsbottom." "It figures. Any time you smell a dung-ill, you know he's gone in the dairy business," Quilleran said. "There's a rumor that Ramsbottom is also getting to lease 12 acres to the county for a work yard." "Nobody ever said a word to Boyd and me about any of this. And we'd paid rent for the second quarter. That really burns me." "I'm seeing the attorney as soon as he gets back from Chicago. I'll ask him what recourse you have." The farmer had turned away and was gazing across the burned field, now smothered in weeds. Finally he said, "Do you know the fire chief?" "I knew Bruce Scott, but I've never met the new one." "When someone's killed in a fire, you know, the chief has to report it to the state fire marshal, whether it's arson or not. We're pretty sure, Boyd and me, that the new guy didn't report the Coggin fire. At least there wasn't any follow-ups as far as we know. We thought it was off base, but we didn't challenge his decision. Didn't want it getting bad with the new fire chief." Quilleran said, "I know what you're getting at. Coming right after the vandalism, it looked to me as if it might be arson. There's another bug I'll put in the attorney's car. Or that's another bug I'll put in the attorney's ear." "That's fine. I think it's real good." "What's the name of the new chief?" "Gumboldt. Ray Gumboldt." "Do you think he could be in cahoots with Ramsbottom?" "Hell! He's Chet's brother-in-law." Then, before Quilleran could react, he said calmly, "I'll go get some tools and dig up those 2 babies. The mailbox is set in concrete. I planted it for Maud 20 years ago." End of chapter. Ermagerd.
Oh, yeah. She's a bitch. Why the if you had a proofreader read your computer letter, why didn't you just have the proofreader fucking write it?
Like, why couldn't you just dictate it to them?
It wasn't that long. It was like a page.
Like, what was the point of that? Why didn't you just dictate it to them?
Yeah, sorry.
Because obviously the proofreader, I'm assuming, is some person from the nursing home.
Yeah, so why don't you...
So why not just make the person from the nursing home do it? I mean, I'm sure that's what they do all the time, isn't it? Don't they, like, dictate letters for, like, things all the time? I feel like that's what all nurses do.
Why are you acting like I've worked at a nursing home?
Well, you have, right? Oh, sorry, right. I'm just thinking about you taking care of me. You know, you were saying Lilian Jackson Braun all day yesterday.
Oh, I say it all the time. I know. I go back and forth. It's like the pause thing. I don't care. Why the fuck do you have some proofreading? Not sure. I just probably can't spell so good. I don't know.
Like, she was like, I can't see because I'm blind, so I'm dictating this to, and I was like, a person. And she's like, a computer. And I was like, that makes no sense.
No, but I was like, okay, that's fine. But then she starts being a bitch, and she's like, but then I'm gonna have a person look at it. Well, then why didn't you just... Don't fucking shit on computers if you use one. And then you, like... And if it's not like you're like, oh, I hate these goddamn pangled computers, but here's my letter. You have the means to use the person. Just use the person.
Right?
I hate her. I hate everyone.
Dude.
I hate them all.
Dude. They're all garbage people. They're not as bad, somehow, as the other book.
I know.
I still can't... Like, this is still... that I somehow was able to push it along for this many pages. Even though... I don't know. Like, realistically speaking, there's not that much story-relevant material.
Really? Nothing is really going on.
Like, that's why I love the, like, cookie one. Because
and I think
it's
still,
so
I think
good.
it still felt really, like, actual small town. Like, yeah, this... Like I said, this feels small town, but it feels like...
You knew what a small town was.
No, it feels like
concept.
a dramatic fucking, like... You know, like, the most dramatic land situation, because you find these books funny because you're, like, you know, rich in a small town.
Yeah.
It's a rich in a... Okay, I guess that's a difference. Maybe that's why I like the cooking one better.
It's more like poor.
No, I mean, she found a hobo chick.
That's true. That wasn't even a story. That was a short story, like, add-on. Chapter 16. Wednesday was the day of the big game, and an electric charge jolted the plastic community, 400 miles north of everywhere. Banners were strung between the light poles on Main Street, pennant race posters plastered the central business district, and the department store displayed the silver pennant that would be the winner's trophy. Betting was going on all over. Private bets on street corners and office pools in every place of business. Okay, yeah, that's the one thing I'll get into. I'll get into the betting. I'll get in betting on, like, spelling bee betting on old business spellers would be hilarious, though. That would be very fun. In a weird way, like, I don't know how you do it.
I mean, it'd be kind of hard. Like, I mean, it'd be like a hard betting game.
Do you
like,
bet for as many rounds as they go, or do you bet for, like, I guess you start out with, like...
Not the, oh.
Well, so you could do it by team, do it by section, and you could also do it by word.
Okay,
like, on the fly, too.
Yeah. Well, that's how you take... It's individual bets. You don't bet on one big thing. I'm saying it'd be hard because you're probably betting on individual fucking spellers. And it's like, well, I don't know if he knows how to spell cheese, but he does know how to spell fucking mutual funds because he's a banker. Is that what I'm saying?
That's true.
That's why it's a challenging betting game. So it's great.
With that in mind, I question whether or not the mortuary service is the most unfair of all of them because they're just used to really big words.
Yeah, but they're used to... I don't know.
Anyway, even Quilliran's Siamese sensed something momentous in the offing and prowled restlessly. He himself, having a journalist's compulsion to be in the middle of the excitement, went early to breakfast at Louise's luncheonette. The place was crowded. 2 cooks were whirling around the kitchen, and Lois herself was taking orders, serving the ham and eggs, pouring coffee, and making change at the cash register. She was one of the celebrities being given pinch speller status. The mayor had recently proclaimed God damn my fucking everything. The mayor had recently proclaimed a Louis Inchpot Day in recognition of her 30 years of feeding hungry Pickaxians. The other pinch spellers, besides Amanda Goodwinter, would be Dr. Pellegate, president of MCCC, Foxy Fred, the popular auctioneer Grandma Tootle, matriarch of the Grocery Dominion, and Mr. Odell, high school custodian for 40 years before his retirement. Quilleran asked Lois, "Are you prepared to go up and spell in a pinch?" "No. No, sir. No way. Nothing could get me up on that stage to spell. You know my boy Lenny is spelling for the Nailheads. If the Nailheads win, do we all get free coffee?" "Absolutely." Next, Quilleran went to the newspaper to watch them making up the front page with a banner story on the spell game and a photo strip on the pickets and card burners at the library. The headline read, "A hot time at the library." I think that's a little weak. How about, down at the library, there's one thing that's really hot off the shelves. I don't know, is that better?
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like... It sounds hot. I just did an air conditioner unit broke.
How about old readers express their burning passion at library?
Stop.
Sorry, I just think it's a really weak title for such a hilarious story. Just a bunch of pensioners being like, "Fuck your computer systems."
Dude, I know. It's bad, and I'm saying it sounds like the air conditioner is broken. That's
I know.
all it sounds like.
It does exactly.
It sounds like it's hot.
On page 3, the air conditioner broken. No one knows how to fix it,
and no one wants to go to the library. That sucks.
The end. That's exactly what I'd assume if I saw that.
Whatever. Sorry.
After picking up groceries for Polly and transferring them to her car, he went into... Wait a minute. Wait, so you picked up the groceries and then just drove over to the library where she works and put the groceries in her car to just sit in the car
I got all the milk and
while
eggs
she's
you
working?
wanted.
I hope that you don't care about refrigeration. I just left it in the back of your damn pickup. Sorry.
Well, hopefully it's just, dirt.
Sorry, this just
Honestly,
seems
if
very
it's just,
strange.
dirt and oatmeal that she wanted and other shit, and she's like, "Please put it on my truck," that's fine, but, he's weird. He's so weird.
He's just so weird. I just really imagine...
Well, I just imagine she said, "Can you drop them off? I gave you the key." And he's like, "She also gave me he doesn't even think the key. He's like, "Yes, you did give me a key to your house, and I will drop them off for you where you work. Car."
That's more convenient because it's right to you.
You can drive it home. Take it in the way you want.
I just imagine a bag with a full ham. And a thing of eggs. 2 gallons of milk.
I don't care what it is. Like I said, I don't care. I think she said, "Can you pick up groceries and drop them off? I gave you the key."
I know it doesn't matter what the hell it is.
No, I know she said. No, I know she said that. And he's like, "Derp. Well, I do have a key to your house. Why are you telling me, you stupid bitch? You're obsessed with butterflies, stupid bitch." And then he's like, "I'll put it in the car. I'm so smart."
This is why she loves me.
I make her life convenient.
I'm just so thoughtful and convenient.
I let her carry in the 80 pounds of dirt. No, actually, I hope it is 80 pounds of dirt. Sorry, I hate him.
After picking up groceries for Polly and transferring them to her car, he went into the building to see if she had returned from the conference. The August premises were unnaturally quiet. "She's back," said one of the clerks, gesturing towards the glass-enclosed office on the mezzanine. "You missed the excitement," were his first words to Polly. "What was your reaction when you heard about it?" My assistant phoned me in Lockmaster, and I confessed I was rather amused. Apparently it turned into somewhat of a farce, but there's a serious side to it. Half of our volunteers have now resigned, and that's a great loss. They contribute thousands of work hours every year. Did you mention the situation at the conference? Yes, and their attitude was, what do you expect of Moose County? The other libraries adjusted to automation without any trouble. Well, I'm not going to worry about it until tomorrow, after the spell game frenzy has simmered down. Are you going to the game? Of course. Indian Village has chartered a bus for the event. So many of our residents are spelling or otherwise involved. By the way, 2 of Phoebe's butterflies have made their debut and are trying their wings. Don't free them until I've seen them, Quill. Driving home through the evergreen woods, he had a brief surge of euphoria that mystified him, and he stroked his mustache. Oh my god! So much. I love it.
Wait, I wish there was a fucking word search in this. I could search mustache. Like the whole file.
You know, it's just so funny. Like, she just always has to say it so weird. Like, she can't even be like, he was thinking and he stroked his mustache.
He came and he stroked his mustache.
Who the fuck is like, he had a surge of euphoria that mystified him. And so he stroked his mustache.
Is it and so?
No, it's and he stroked his mustache.
God, thank God. I was so scared.
No, it is and he, but still, it sounds like that to me.
Sorry, you can say it again. I'm sorry.
I don't.
Shut up. Oh, shut up.
I don't care. Driving home through the evergreen woods, he had a brief surge of euphoria that mystified him, and he stroked his mustache. It was a hunch that something was about to turn out well. The Siamese were jumping around in the kitchen window in boisterous fashion as he approached the barn. Before unlocking the door, he automatically checked the sea chest for deliveries. Strangely, the lid was ajar, propped open by a small stone. When he raised it, he quickly lowered it again and backed away. Everyone in Pickaxe was bomb-conscious, following the hotel incident of the previous year. Were the cats warning him? On second thought, he had another cautious look at the contents of the chest. He saw a sizable cardboard carton tied with rope, and there were crayoned words on one flap. As he tried to decipher the message, he heard a faint murmur from inside the box. It sounded like a mewing cat. It sounded, in fact, like 2 cats. The message on the box flap, he figured out, read, "Please find us a good home." When he unknotted the rope and opened the carton, 2 pairs of imploring eyes gazed up at him. They were domestics with luxurious fur, one orange, one tabby, curled together for mutual protection. He closed the chest and went indoors. Away from their ingratiating presence, he could think intelligently. Who would drop them off? It would be someone who knew he was an ailurophile. Someone who knew where he lived. Someone who knew he was away from home on that particular morning. Celia Robinson fitted that profile, but she would be more forthright. Yet, she had a large acquaintance, one of whom might have 2 waifs to give away. He phoned her. "Celia, did you leave anything in my sea chest this morning?" "No, Chief, but I'll have some berry tarts later in the day."
Okay.
Well, yeah, because everyone has to literally suck his dick at all times of every day. And when they are any form of an assistant for him, that means, "Quilloran, can I open your envelopes for you? Quilloran, I'll bring by some tarts later. Hey, Quilloran, do you love me? Could you love me?" These girls be lucky I got me a librarian. Ooh. Why does everyone just have to be thirsty for you? Unless it's your inner fantasy of the man you wish you were. I don't know. Lilian Jackson Braun.
I'm so confused. confused. Like, who is this for? Is it for...
It's like, it's supposed to be for women, but then all the women are clamoring over Quilliran, and I'm like, well, okay, I guess...
Well, like, I guess it's like an anime. But, okay, that's...
But I never get when I want to... If I'm supposed to be the one that's clamoring over the hot stud in my book, movie, show... And why do I want to watch other women clamor over the hot stud?
That's what I mean.
I don't know.
I'm saying... I don't know who watches harem anime either. Like, if either gender. So I don't know who anything is for.
I think everything is for...
Freaks.
Drunk freaks. That is what I think. I think it's called you
Or
understand
like,
how
they're
weird...
hot. Oh, they kind of remind me of me. I think I could fuck that guy. I think, oh look, that reminds me of you.
Like, I just swear that everything is supposed to be a level of just... You know how things are in this world, kind of, so maybe you could imagine this is happening. Do you find it funny? And then there's a half of the world that's like, takes it way too seriously. And then, well, okay, there's a part that takes it way too seriously, a part that absolutely despises it, and then there's the rest of us types that just spend... way too much time dedicating to dissecting a single line that a character has said because they just want to give a man a fruit tart. But it's because she wants his dick. I'm just saying.
No, she wants.
It doesn't matter if she doesn't want to suck his dick. She wants it. She wants the quill pen.
Yeah, she wants
either
his
way
dick.
because everyone, it doesn't matter. Like, it's like the whole trope of an apprentice in general. I'm saying it's always that. They're always...
What's going on?
Well, because I'm saying it's what it is. She's his assistant type, technically. And for some reason, they have to fawn in this almost erotic, romantic way where it's like, I would love to have sex with you, but then I also want to become you. Please turn me into you on the day that you've decided that I am there. And that is every assistant trope in everything that has an assistant known to man.
Well, that is true.
It is 100% true.
That's true.
No one's ever just like, my boss is dumb. I don't really give them much of anything other than saying what they want to hear.
Well, and no
I fucking just do my job.
Ever just like, I want to work hard.
Actually, Bubbles in Absolutely Fabulous.
No, she's not, because she's stupid. They're either stupid or they're...
Well, that's right. They're either stupid as fuck or they're suck-ups.
They're never just like, I am a hard worker and I want to work my way up in the company and I respect my boss. They're like, I'm a fangirl, or I'm retarded.
Well, yeah, it's stupid, bad.
Oh my god. EJ want to give him tarts! Shut up!
No, Chief, but I'll have some berry tarts later in the day. Did you see a vehicle entering or leaving the woods? Is this another investigation? She asked enthusiastically. Not exactly. Someone left 2 cats in the sea chest with a note saying they need a good home. Oh my! Kittens or full grown? Most people want kittens. Yeah, because most people are pieces of shit!
And also, if they were full grown cats, I don't think they would have stayed in the fucking sea chest.
Well, that's for sure.
Just imagine putting in an awake adult cat.
Mo! I'm just too tired to move. It's the only reason I'm here. Mow. Full grown, with nice fur, soulful eyes, appealing personalities. Well, they are old Mao, and they're just staying in there, apparently. Great.
God, I talk too fucking soon.
God, sometimes.
I'm like, oh, I do have the ADD. I think it's just called being fun.
It is. That's what I'm saying. Because it's depressing to read a book and be all like, this is more fun. I know the story going on. It's not like I'm distracted from the narrative. Full grown, with nice fur, soulful eyes, appealing personalities. Oh. I wish I could take them, but Wrigley wouldn't like it. I'll ask around if anyone wants to adopt him. Are you going to the game tonight? Oh, yes. Mr. Odell has taken me. He's one of the pinch spellers. I'm gonna root for the Diggers. That's right, you root for the goddamn funeral home.
Woo!
For the funeral home. For the crypt. Quilliran hung up and said aloud, How do I get mixed up in these animal adoption cases? Last winter it was a schnauzer. Ow! Came a voice from the coffee table. Coco was keeping one of the large books warm. He stirred, raised his hindquarters, and lowered his forequarters, pawing the book jacket. No, that's a library book, Quilleran scolded. And then he had an inspiration. He grabbed the book and his car keys and hurried to his van, stopping only to pick up the box of cats. 5 minutes later, he was at the library, heading for the stairs up to the mezzanine. He barged into Polly's office and deposited the box on her desk. She rolled her chair back in dismay. What's this? The answer to your problem, he said as he opened the box. Books and cats belong together. These two need a home, and the library needs a homey touch. Abracadabra. As he spoke, the two cats rose and stretched, then turned their large, wandering eyes at the librarian and mewed delicately. Meow. Quilleran said, They even have the right kind of voice for a library cat. Fuck. No. We got some art reference in the back, Mao.
Well, now you gotta keep the meow. It can't be a joke anymore because he said they got the perfect voice.
Oh God, it has to be that now. Honestly, Quill, I don't know what to say. Don't say anything. Just let them loose among the stacks, and they'll win over your alienated volunteers and patrons. How shall I explain them?
What if they have, like, fucking fleas?
What if they've got flea? Where's a litter box? Nope, just let them go free. Don't ever let them outside. Don't get a litter box. Don't.
Like, do we have, like, a cat?
We don't know if these cats tear up paper. Not every cats and books belong together. Well, some cats don't belong around books.
And also,
some are assholes.
It's not just the assholes. It's like, who's it? Like, just because they rise. They rise. I don't know why it said it so dramatic.
Abracadabra. They rise.
But just because they rise together doesn't mean they want to go live in a library. And, like, you open the door one time, they're like, this isn't our house. Oh, cool. We hung out in a library for an afternoon. Now we're leaving again. I think they're just two stray cats. Oh, I know.
There was a note.
No, I don't give a shit. They wrote a note. They're fucking punk cats.
Now, bitch, I'm going back. I know where you live, Mao.
It's my spin-off story.
The cat who was left on the doorstep. Mao. Sorry. But, how shall I explain them? Just say the Klingenschone think tank in Chicago heard about the problem and prescribed them as a catalyst for change. I'll go to the pet shop for a commode, dishes, and food. He started to leave. Wait a minute. What are their names? No one knows. Have a contest to name them. Don't forget litter for the commode, she called after him. Pause and take a break. You got a paw on the page, so drink up, babe. You know, I still think he's just too rude to his cats. He yells at his cat for being on a book, and then he's like, oh, right, great idea. And that has seemed to be a common theme. Every time he's like, my cats are smart, and they sit on books to tell me things. And then he's like, get your fat ass off my books. And then he's like, oh, right, that thing. And he's not like, well, thanks, Coco. Thank you for reminding me. I'm going to go do that thing. Bye.
A couple times.
But most of the time, it's just like, fuck you, bye.
And also, like, he just keeps putting them up and down in front of compasses. Like,
the visual I had of him just picking one-handed up cat and putting near compass, and then I don't know, because I'm still kind of confused. Like, was the cat making compass move, or was the cat just like falling over in compass direction or running to compass direction?
I think something like that. I don't. I don't know. The visuals in this book are, and not because they need to explain more. It's because Quillerand's insane. It's the ramblings of a fucking man.
Because I just pick it up. Now do it with the female cat. Now try it with the male cat again. Why? What are you doing? Stop.
I know you're like, oh, just try it. Like, I don't know. I didn't know if the cat fell over.
All I know is it's just really funny. Long before game time, hundreds of fans started assembling on the high school parking lot. They came in cars, vans, pickups, recreational vehicles, and school buses. 18 followers of the Diggers piled out of 3 limousines, usually used for more solemn occasions. Several bank employees arrived in an armored truck, carrying picket signs that supported the money bags. Placards on long sticks declared allegiance to favorite teams. Eat 'em up, chow heads, and muckers don't muck up. Photographers from the Lockmaster and Moose County papers and the TV crew from down below were kept busy. This is amazing how into this everyone is getting. I mean, amazing. I mean, for one, the bank somehow got an armored truck. That's awesome.
I don't even know if they mean that because they were talking about their limousines. I don't know what their code for armored truck is here. It's probably just monster.
I love books, by the way, that put the author's name above the story title. Because I like to believe that the title or the story is called Lilian Jackson Braun, and it's written by the cat who sang for the birds.
Well, that's the reality I live in.
That is the reality I live in. That makes a lot more sense to me. I'm like, well, yeah, this book's written by a cat. That makes a lot of damn sense. Traveling minstrel cat used to sing for birds, and now he writes stories about weird women.
Oh my god.
The woman, Jim Quillerand.
No. See, it's a story by a cat. These are Lilian Jackson Braun's cats writing this fucking book.
That makes more sense.
She has a mustache. That photo's in black and white. You know she has a white lady old mustache. You know she does. She has one of those thin, oh, it's peach fuzz, bitch. No, it's not. She has one of those motherfuckers. It's not a mustache, but it's there.
It's lip hair.
Yeah, it's lip hair. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, and so they are cats. And so they're like, oh, because she's not really doing that. She's just more like wiping her fucking thing, like her lip, and this is how a cat writes. And she's like, I love my quill, and they're like, that must be her name. Because she named me Coco, so Quillerand must be her name.
Sounds about right.
Sorry, it's a book by cats. I figured it out. That makes more sense.
Yep. Photographers from the Lockmaster and Moose County papers and the TV crew from down below were kept busy. When the doors opened, the crowd surged into the auditorium and gym. Backstage, the spellers in t-shirts and baseball caps grouped in teams of 3. Okay. Officials wore black t-shirts with white letters designating their function: coach, pitcher, umpire, and timekeeper. Pinch spellers were herded into the green room. 2 stage managers checked and double-checked. About 10 minutes before game time, Sarah Plensdorf reported to Hixie Rice that Phoebe Sloan had not arrived and could not be reached by phone. Anywhere. Hixie said firmly, well, the entertainment begins in 10 minutes, and if she isn't here by that time, we'll call in a pinch speller. Weatherby, would you go to the green room and see who's willing to pinch spell? Since the Butterfly Girl's t-shirt was extra small, a dauber card was lettered just in case to hang around the neck of the substitute. Hixie, who saw the bright side of every cloud, stated that an emergency substitution would only add to the excitement. Already the uproar on the other side of the blue curtain was deafening. It fused the jabbering of fans, the shouts of hysterical partisans, and the cries of hawkers selling peanuts, Cracker Jack, and scorecards. Weatherby remarked that half the town would be hoarse as bullfrogs for a week. Dr. Diane predicted an epidemic of hearing impairment. At 7:30... sorry, no, just drink. It's just cringy. Just drink.
Can I share?
It's not just drink because it's written cringy. No, that's not cringy. It's cringy because doctor hearing people are cringy.
Oh.
And doctor vocal people are cringy, and they'd be like that. Stop yelling at the event.
Dude, don't even talk to me.
Turn down the speakers. At 7:30, it was announced on the loudspeakers that Dr. Prelegate of Moose County Community College would pinch spell for number 79 on the scorecard. There was a roar of approval, but Quilleran wondered how Phoebe's parents would feel, sitting in the auditorium and questioning her absence. Then the Pickaxe Barbershop Quartet, in striped blazers and straw boaters, marched smartly from the wings and lined up in front of the blue curtain to sing a tongue-twisting parody of a campfire favorite. Old MacDonald had a farm, A-E-I-O-U, and on that farm he learned to spell A-E-I-O-U, with an E-I here and an I-E there, here an A, there an O, everywhere U, Old MacDonald had a farm, A-E-I-O-U, with a double B here and a double C there, here a D, there a T, everywhere a G, with a double M here and a double M there, here an L, there an F, everywhere an XX, Old MacDonald had a farm. Oh my God! It went on and on until the blue curtain parted, revealing the 10 colorful banners and 31 empty chairs, while the quartet sang "Take Me Out to the Spell Game." Then the spellers jogged on stage, each greeted by cheers and whistles. As a curtain raiser, it was, Quilleran had to admit, impressive. It was something, that's for sure. Oh my God, I'm done. And there's so much.
Dude, we're at the finale. This is great. This is
the finale. There's still fucking 30, 40 pages.
They're less than 40 now.
Ladies and gentlemen, the national anthem, Weatherby Good announced. Everyone rose, everyone sang. When the last notes faded and the fans repeated themselves, the mayor stepped into the spotlight and pitched a word to the audience. Literacy! He thanked them for supporting a program that would teach adults to read and write, ending with play ball! In the first inning, Quilleran pitched the first word to the Daubers. Cat. There was a hush in the auditorium and a pause on stage. Then Dr. Prelegate stepped briskly to the mic and spelled it correctly, according to the umpire's thumb. There were murmurs of bewilderment among the fans. One by one, the teams were called upon to spell three-letter words until the muckers took their turn at the plate. Quilleran pitched the word anti-disestablishmentarianism. 2 adults and 1 9-year-old went into a huddle, and Colvert stepped to the mic and rattled off the 28 letters. There was laughter, then applause, and the fans relaxed for the serious spelling. Ambidextrous, kaleidoscope, peripatetic. All I do know is the way she spells Mike is driving me insane. Reading the name Mike every time is just hurting me. In the third inning, the Oilers were sent to the showers. The Ladders were the next to go, then the Nailheads. At the 7th inning stretch, only the Diggers, Pills, and Hams were left on the spelling field, and the Diggers struck out with Xenophobia and Onomatopoeia. The 2 remaining teams were scrappy. The fans screamed and pumped their placards. The Pills' last chance was vicissitude. Sorry, I can read V's and C's. And they missed, but the Hams got it right. The blue curtain closed, and all 10 teams marched across the apron for their final acclamation, with the mayor presenting the silver pennant to the theater club's Hams. Behind the curtain, a corps of helpers was hurriedly removing the chairs. "What's the rush?" Quilleran asked. "What's going on?" Weatherby Good grabbed his arm and said, "Hicksy wants to see you," as he shoved Quilleran into the spotlight out front. Hicksy was saying to the audience, Tonight we want to honor someone whose words entertain and inform us, who supports every local endeavor, even if it means being a judge at a cat contest, who rides a bicycle while others pollute the air with automotive emissions, whose creative brain dreamed up the pennant race. James McIntosh Quilleran.
Yay! Yay! He's coming on stage. Yay.
The fans gave him a standing ovation, and Quilleran bowed graciously while maintaining his usual melancholy facade. The curtain behind him was parting. Oh, there's only so much. Pixie went on. With appreciation and affection, we present the ubiquitous and peripatetic Mr. Q with a token of our esteem. She gestured upstage where the spotlight was on a peculiar contraption. What is it? He asked, although he knew. Hixie explained. A recumbent bicycle, the latest thing on 2 wheels. You claim to do your best thinking while you're biking or sitting with your feet up. Now you can do both at the same time. In his mellifluous stage voice, he said, Words fail me. For the first time in my life, I'm speechless. I'm completely overwhelmed. When you see me wheeling down Main Street in a reclining position, please remember that I'm not asleep. I'm thinking. Half a dozen spellers helped Quilleran load the bent, as it was familiarly called, into his van. Many spellers were reluctant to leave, exhilarated by the show they had just presented. Sarah Plensdorf was one who lingered, and Quilleran who complimented her on her backstage efficiency. In a low voice she said, There's something I didn't tell you, Quill, about Phoebe. Monday night after the warm-up, she came to my place in the middle of the night and asked to sleep in my guest room. She locked herself out, she said, and didn't know when Jake would be home. I have an instinctive dislike for that fellow, and I didn't believe her, especially since her right eye seemed to be swollen. I didn't know what to say. One doesn't like to pry or meddle. What did she say the next morning? Anything enlightening? She was still sleeping when I left for work, and I went right from the office to a dinner meeting of my button club. When I came home, she was gone. Didn't even leave a note. And when she didn't show up tonight, I first thought she was embarrassed about her eye. But then I thought, she's gone to California. She's gone to her grandmother. Phoebe's quite impulsive, you know. Quilleran said, One would think she'd leave you a note, though. Sarah dismissed the remark with a wave of the hand. Young people don't stop and think. Well, thanks for telling me, Sarah. I'm sure she'll phone you from California. Keep me informed. Quilleran drove home via the back road, not having picked up his mail or newspaper. For a moment he wondered if Phoebe might be in her studio, but the parking lot was empty, and the only light in the building was the nightlight in the foyer. As the van moved slowly up the lane, he could see the illuminated windows of the barn. At dusk, a timer switched on all interior lights, transforming the 4-story octagon into a giant lantern. He drove around the building and backed up to the kitchen door. He would park the odd bicycle in the lounge area, where there was enough room for it to lean against the stone wall. It would look arty there, he decided. Even if he never rode it, the recumbent would be a conversation piece, like the checker set he never used. Before maneuvering the bike through the kitchen door, he went in to prepare the Siamese for something mystifying. What he saw was a floor covered with small dark objects, and what he heard was a guilty silence. Both cats were on the fireplace cube, arranged in compact bundles and looking somber. Quilleran turned on 2 lamps in the lounge area and examined the clutter on the floor. They were checkers. You devils, he said over his shoulder. What possessed you? A rumble came from Coco's chest, as if he were claiming credit for the chaos. Quilleran gathered up the discs, Strangely, they were all red. The black checkers were still in place on the squares. To add insult to injury, Coco jumped down from his perch and landed on the telephone desk, scattering the envelopes that Quilleran had brought in from the mailbox. The cat was obviously in one of his destructive moods, and it seemed wise to leave the recumbent in the van until morning. He leafed through... because the cat'll ruin it with its superhuman strength?
Yes.
It's a bike. Jesus. He leafed through the mail. Several pieces were commercial flyers addressed to occupant, and they went directly into the wastebasket. But one envelope had a butterfly sketched in the upper left-hand corner. He could hardly rip it open fast enough. It was handwritten, in a style he associated with artists. It was a long letter, and he read it twice before phoning the attorney's home. Bart's wife answered. He's on his way home from Chicago, and I don't expect to see him until midnight. Is there anything I can do for you? She was a law clerk at Hasselrich, Bennett & Barter. Quilleran said, You could tell him I need to see him first thing in the morning. Tell him it's important. Tell him it's about fraud, bribery, arson, and the murder of an elderly woman. End of chapter.
But no. Why was that funny to him? Like, you're moving. Like...
You're currently pedaling with your legs. It's just a lay down kind of bike. It's not
I know, they're everywhere.
If the bike is moving and my legs are moving, I am awake. Well, I fucking assumed, Quilleran.
Yeah, you fucking suck. Like, that acceptance speech was he fucking said, what is it, when he didn't know. How about you just say, oh, wow, I can't
That's
believe
one of
you
those
got
things
that.
I know
like,
about,
I know.
but...
Like, I don't care. That's not politeness. I hate when people are like, I knew what it was. But I said, what is it? Oh, for all the stupid idiots. You could have been like, wow, I can't believe you got that. That's so cool. And then they're like, they will probably explain it for them fucking selves to the audience. Because, you know, they're not retarded like you, Quilleran. They'll probably say, yeah, we got Quill, a fucking blah, 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 blah.
I know.
They're not going to be like, if you just say, wow, that's so, no. And no, he's such a dick. He's a dick. I know he's supposed to be a dick.
He's an absolute asshole.
I think he's supposed to be a dick. Like, I hope. Like, but, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, physically. Because, you know.
Okay.
No, not physically. Like.
Okay. Not physically, but physically.
Dude, this book could help. I'm like, I want to say it's like, it's supposed to be bad, but I just think everyone's a genuine douchebag.
No, I think everyone is just a genuine douchebag.
Sorry.
So, I think she's like, this is the confident male character that women want to see.
Or is he supposed to be a douchebag because he's supposed to be the stereotypical confident male character? Like, is he supposed to be a douchebag, or is he supposed to be hot? Or is he supposed to be like a hot douchebag? I don't know what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be a bad boy? Well, I don't know. There's a bad boy that I'm pretty sure they lynched or something. He hasn't been brought up good.
But is that just the theater kid?
No, not the theater kid.
Oh, wait, no, there was a bad boy.
Oh, yeah. Was he the bartender? Did they just fire him? Was he the other guy? Whatever, okay. That's the only reason I hate reading fucking books. Because I'm just horrible with names.
Yeah, no, me too.
Well, yeah, you're horrible with names and faces. You can only pick one. I'm horrible with names, I'm good with faces, and that's why, like, that's the only reason I not enjoy, like, I don't enjoy movies, and I don't enjoy long TV shows. I just wish there could be a longer movie that didn't take itself too seriously, that encapsulated a fucking book, or wrote, like, a book without taking itself too seriously. That's all I want. It's a simple, longer movie. That's alright. Because I like books. Like, I like the chaos of books that, like, there's stuff that doesn't matter, and I like that. And movies, you know, because everyone's like, they like to make it concise. So that's what I'm saying. It's a slightly longer movie with stuff that is a little chaotic. Because, that's what I hate about books. I'm just so bad with names. I'm like, okay, they're talking about that. It's them. Because I'm like, they said that. And I'm like, shit, who? If it was a movie, I'd be like, oh, okay. But, then it's still, if it's a movie, I'm shit with names. So I'm like, who's talking? And then they're like, Polly. And I'm like, oh, who's that dude? Oh, that's her name. Oh, okay, never mind.
Because they do it so often.
I know. I was like, wait, I thought that was, oh, wait, no, oh, fuck. Why the fuck was this spelling bee so anticlimactic?
Why was it interesting to begin with? Chapter 17. In the days following the pennant race, Pickaxe could talk of nothing else. In the coffee shops, on street corners, at the supermarket. Tell you why the Hams won. They're young, and they've got good memories, and they're used to learning lines. Nah, they're used to the bright lights, and they didn't have stage fright. You'd think the head of a college would have done better. He never saw the word list. Everybody else knew the words on the list. Who said the college presidents have to know how to spell those big words? He just runs things. He was subbing for the butterfly girl. Wonder why she didn't show. 'Cause she's the type that dances to her own music, ever since she went to that school in Lockmaster. How do you like that crazy bike they gave Mr. Q? I'll tell you, I wouldn't ride it. My wife won the office pool at Toodles, $10. I was betting on the Chowheads. My cousin was spelling for him. Think we'll be able to beat Lockmaster in the World Series? If it's fair and square, I don't trust that bunch down there. Unintentional or not? Either way, pause and take a break. There's a paw on the page, so drink up, babe. The morning after the spell game, Quilleran had an Why did we go from in the days following to the morning after?
Is there a page?
Or is the pennant race and the spell game... Well, they're the same thing, so... Doesn't make any sense. The morning after the spell game, Quilleran had an early appointment with G. Allen Barter. He was showering and shaving when the 8 o'clock news was broadcast. Last night's pennant race spell-off raised an estimated $10,000 for the Moose County literacy effort, according to backers. Winners of the silver pennant were the Hams, a team sponsored by the Pickaxe Theater Club, along with 4 runner-up teams. The Hams will compete in the World Series in September, facing the champion spellers from Lockmaster. Quilleran made note of the fact that WPKX referred to backers. They never gave the something credit for anything, at least not since the controversy over radio listings in the paper. The next item gave him a chuckle. A truckload of sheep escaped on Main Street late yesterday afternoon when the transport vehicle stopped for a red light and the tailgate popped open. According to witness, one animal jumped out and the rest followed, like sheep. Main Street traffic was rerouted for 2 hours while Pickaxe police and the state troopers rounded up the flock. One animal is still at large. The driver of the truck was ticketed. Bad trip. That is exactly what I'd expect from local news, but it's still just as cringy as if I saw it from local news. So that was the reason for the downtown detour. It had happened once before, only the last time it was pigs. Other news bites mentioned a fire in a trailer home that resulted in 1 death, another single-car accident at the Bloody Creek Bridge in which the driver was killed, resumption of talks concerning a ring road for Pickaxe, routing heavy traffic north of Trevlin and south on Sandpit Road. Quilleran could picture Beverly Forfar's reaction to 18-wheelers, tankers, and dump trucks roaring past the art center all day. Promptly at 9 o'clock, he reported to the offices of Hasselrick, Bennett, and Barter. Bart was waiting for him with mugs of coffee and some sweet rolls. He knew his client. "How was the trip?" Quilleran asked. "I covered all the bases, and they took me to some great restaurants. Fran Brody had been there, presenting her design theme for the hotel renovation. The hotel, as well as the Limburger Mansion, had been purchased by the K Fund, and Amanda's studio had the commission. It appears that Fran made a big hit, professionally and personally. I'd venture to say we're in danger of losing her. I hope not. Quilleran smoothed his mustache. Fran, as daughter of the police chief, had occasionally leaked privileged information. We need her talent in this town, in the theater club, as well as the design business. If Amanda retires, she'll never retire. But if Amanda should be struck by lightning, Fran would be the logical one to take over. Does she have any personal attachment up here? The attorney asked. She's been seen frequently with Dr. Prelegate. Not a bad duo, Bart said. What do you think of the show last night? I hear you raised $10,000. The K Fund will match it, of course. My wife took the boys, and now they both want to be champion spellers instead of champion gymnasts. They change their life goals once a week. So, what's on your mind, Quill? Your message was provocative, to say the least. While you were away, I did some thinking. At first, I thought there was grounds for a civil suit. Now, it looks like a criminal case. You remember the farmhouse fire that killed the 93-year-old Maud Coggin? It was blamed on a kerosene heater. Well, earlier in the year, she had sold her 100 acres to Northern Land Improvement. Never heard of them. They told her they were a lockmaster company. The selling price was $1,000 an acre, about 1/6 of the going rate, with the understanding that it would be used for agricultural purposes. Now 4 acres of that purchase have been sold to the city of Pickaxe for a cemetery at $6,000 an acre. Furthermore, the company is about to lease 12 acres to the county for a work yard, according to my sources. What's your reaction? That it's morally wrong to cheat such a woman, but it's actually only a sharp business practice, with no law broken. She agreed to sell. She was apparently satisfied with that bundle in the coffee can. Be that as it may, this nosy journalist had to investigate the Lockmaster profiteers. I was curious about who they really were. And guess what? There's no such company. The purchaser was one of our esteemed county commissioners, operating under an assumed name that was not registered in either county. Which commissioner? Ramsbottom. Bart wagged his head. Might have guessed. Okay, forget the profiteering. Let's talk about the Coggin fire. There are 4 interesting points. The fire occurred very soon after the land changed hands. It looked like arson to a couple of experienced firefighters. The new fire chief failed to report the fatality to the state fire marshal as required by law, and he happens to be Chet Ramsbottom's brother-in-law. Calmly, Bart said, You know, of course, that there's a certain amount of coincidence, hearsay, and guesswork in your story. Wait a minute. There's more. I have a letter from an informant indicating the farmhouse was torched. Well, I'd say you're getting warmer. Who's the informant? The torturer's girlfriend. Would she come forward? I'm afraid she's in California by now. She wrote this letter Tuesday. Was she an accomplice? Nope. A battered woman, running away. Actually, she's a successful artist from a good family. The Sloanes of West Middle Hummock. Then what the devil was she doing with an abusive bum and alleged arsonist? Bart, you've just asked an age-old question that's never been adequately answered. Read this letter. Quilleran reached in his pocket. One more question, if it isn't too personal. What was your connection with her? Why was she confiding in you? That's another one that's hard to answer. People have a tendency to confide in writers. A French author attributed it to a writer's willingness to listen, a trait that he describes as half tenderness and half cannibalism. Whatever. Read the letter, Bart. Phoebe had written. Tuesday. Hi. Thank you so much for taking my butterfly box. I'm going away for a while. I'll call you to find out how the painted ladies turn out. Maybe I'll send you some emperor caterpillars. The attorney interrupted his reading to say, What's this about you and butterflies? Nothing important, just research I'm doing for a column. Read on. I'm going to my grandmother in California. No one understands me around here. They all try to tell me what to do. I admit I made one bad mistake, but it was my own decision, and I'd never do it again. I'm 10 years older than I was a week ago. But Jake was so good looking and so exciting, and that red hair really turned me on. I thought life was going to be thrilling. Sorry, there's more. I just have to... Like, I understand telling your story. I just love that she just straight up, yep, he just turned me the fuck on, man. He has red hair. He was just so damn
that's why
hot.
Quiller was like, it's an age-old question. I don't know why girls go for hot guys. I don't know why they don't go for smart hot guys like me.
But they do, Quill.
No, they don't. I'm the smartest in the fucking...
You have everything you want, Quill. And a bike.
And a helmet. Just to be safe.
Oh my god, why did I buy so much beer?
How much beer did you buy?
Well, I'm saying I bought like 2 of the 4-pack.
No, that's not like, that's how much you always buy when you buy it.
But I don't think it's necessary.
Yeah, it's nice to have beer. Like, you know, I know you'd rather just have one beer, so then when we're done with it, and I actually want to fucking relax and be done with this motherfucker, I can't have a beer.
That's true.
I want a beer when I'm done, because he's making me stressed.
Oh my god! Nice. One thing he promised me was a special room for painting and raising butterflies. Also, there was some yellow spray paint in the garage, and I was going to paint the inside of it with huge Cleopatras and sulfurs. But then he saw the caterpillars and freaked. He has a phobia about worms, so no more butterfly farming.
No, that's a better word.
Butterflaming.
No, he's a better farming.
No.
It's better, sure.
I felt the same way about his buddies who came after hours and partied till daylight. So things weren't as nice as I expected. One night when he was at work, I was poking around his video collection, looking for a movie, and I found a stack of Daphne's figure drawings. When I asked about them, he said he brought them to give to the guys for Christmas. Suddenly I realized I hadn't lost my key to the art center. He took it from my handbag. Then he got in the building after dark and helped himself to Daphne's work and got bitten by Jasper. He didn't cut it on a broken bottle the way he said. So I took them back to the art center, and when he found them missing, he blew up. That was the first time he got really rough. Then afterwards, he'd be very sweet. Then there was the trouble at the Click Club, and I knew it was Jake's gang who broke in to watch sex videos.
Oh my god. Sex videos.
Sex videos. Them horrible sex videos.
Dude, I don't think I've ever heard the term sex video in my life.
Like a fuck tape would sound more normal.
I'm just saying... I mean, I guess I've heard sex... It's just... Oh my god. But no, okay, I guess people have always said pornography. And so I've never heard sex videos.
I can't think of a time I've heard sex videos.
I just can't think. It was so out of wow. Throw me for a loop.
This is really funny because she's not like she's like this artist, so it's just really funny imagining.
Well, yeah, I mean,
artist.
I guess but everyone has rules now. What if you couldn't say the word pornography and you had to say sex video for this publishing company? You don't know. You know what I've told you about all those fucking publishing laws.
Yeah, that is not impossible.
Yeah, so maybe 1998, it was sex videos. You can't write pornography. It's only sex videos.
Then there was the trouble at the Click Club, and I knew it was Jake's gang who broke in to watch sex videos. Once he wanted to make a vulgar video of me, and I refused. He threw another fit, and it frightened me. My arms were already bruised, and I was wearing those ugly smocks to cover them up. I wanted to get away, but where would I go? I'd be too ashamed to go home. I thought of my grandmother in California. I had to figure something out. Why am I telling you this? I guess it's because you've been so kind. Well, anyway, last night after the rehearsal, I went to the bar as usual and heard Jake asking Chet for more money. They were in the office upstairs, and I went up to use the phone. Too noisy downstairs. I thought I'd call my grandmother collect. The office door was The office door was closed, but I could hear them talking. They were both angry. Chet said, "You've had your payoff. What is this, blackmail?"
Mm-hmm.
And Jake said, "You're getting $1 million plus from XYZ for the river frontage. I want my cut, Chet, or you'll be in trouble." And Chet said, "Who'll be in trouble? You lit the match. That's arson and murder." Then Jake said, "You told me to torch the place, and I got it all on tape." Suddenly, I felt dizzy and sick, and I rushed out to my car. I didn't know what to do. Should I go to the police? Chet is an important man. I just couldn't believe it, so I decided to go home to the condo and play it cool. When Jake came home, he said, "What happened to you, monkey?" I said, "I don't feel well." He grabbed me and said, "I've got a good cure for that." I pulled away from him and said, "Get away from me and don't call me monkey." I was furious. I lost my cool and shouted something I shouldn't have. I said, "I know where you got the money for this condo. It wasn't from your uncle in Montana. I know where you got it and why." As soon as I said it, I knew it was a stupid thing to do. He hit me with his fist, and I ran out of the house and drove to Sarah's apartment. That's where I am now. She's at work. My eye is black. I couldn't possibly be in the spelling bee tomorrow night. I called my grandmother, and she told me to catch the morning shuttle plane. She's making the reservation for me. I'll stay here until tonight, when he's at work, and then I'll go over and pick up my clothes and things. I'm not even telling Sarah. You can tell her if you want to, and she'll tell my parents. I don't know about the police. What do you think? Is it better to just forget I ever heard them talking? Chet's such an important man, you know? I'll leave it up to you. Thank you again for taking my butterflies. Phoebe. Wow, if that's not the most perfect fucking doobie wooby hoo fucking wrap up of a goddamn like.
Just hello all day.
I walked in and they had the entire expositionary explanation of you did thing and I did thing and I have it on video. Great. That's fantastic. When the attorney finished reading, he said, "This can of worms has to be approached with circumspection. He is indeed a prominent citizen who's just been honored for 25 years of public service, and as I said before, there's hearsay involved. Could she possibly be a little wacky from being punched? How much of the story can be proved? I want to discuss it with my partners."
Holy shit.
Partners?
Woo!
Oh my god. Quilloran stroked his mustache.
Wait, I need to drink twice.
Yeah, he stroked his mustache. Duh, you gotta drink.
After partners, so like...
Well, yeah, that too.
Oh, that's a doozy.
Quilleran stroked his mustache. I'd like to do a little discreet snooping myself. Do you remember the Campbell scandal? Or did that happen before you came to Moose County? Ramsbottom paid his way out of a misdemeanor, and he could pay his way out of a felony. I'll call you, or you call me. Pause and take a break. There's a paw on the page, so drink up, babe. We got one more here right on the page. We're gonna drink all day till we can't see. I lost it. I don't care. Don't judge me. Judge you. You're listening to me.
No one's judging you, you psychopath.
I'm judging me. The voice is inside of me, Eddie. On the way home, Quilleran stopped at the florist shop for 2 more carnations. Why does he keep buying carnations?
Yeah, you see why I hate them? I knew why I hated them.
Again? Asked the young woman with the limpid gaze. She turned down the volume on the radio that was twanging country music. What color this time? Red, and you better make it 3. Gee, she said with a big spender inflection. Quilleran decided to stop tormenting her. He explained. I'm doing research for a column, raising a crop of butterflies in captivity. They have to be fed sugar water, sprinkled on fresh flowers. So far, only 2 have hatched, but I'm expecting more. What's that? A radio announcer had interrupted the music with a news bulletin. Claudine turned up the volume. The name of the motorist killed in the Bloody Creek Gorge has just been released. The victim is a 23-year-old woman. God! Like, I don't think I'm dyslexic, but, like, when it comes to things like woman and women and, like, other things similar, I always seem to say the wrong one. That's all I'm gonna say. As I'm chewing on my hand. Anyway, sorry. Back to the story. The victim is a 23-year-old woman, Phoebe Sloan, a local artist known as the Butterfly Girl and daughter of Mary and Orville Sloan of West Middle Hummock. The single-car accident was reported by a truck driver who noticed skid marks on the pavement early this morning and stopped to look in the gorge. The bridge over the creek at that point has been the scene of several accidents, but petitions to have the hazardous crossing improved have resulted only in cautionary road signs. Quilleran threw down some money, grabbed his carnations, and hurried back to Hasselrick, Bennett, and Barter. The receptionist said, Mr. Barter isn't seeing anyone this morning. He just returned from several days out of town. He'll see me. Send in my card. In a matter of seconds, the attorney appeared and ushered Quilleran into his office. I didn't expect you back so soon. Another cup of coffee? Quilleran dropped into a chair. Skip the coffee this time. My informant, who was supposed to be in the spelling competition last night and wasn't, and who was supposed to leave for California this morning and didn't, is Phoebe Sloan. It was her body that was found in Bloody Creek this morning, victim of a single car accident. Do you suppose she was speeding to catch the shuttle? The airport is southwest of Indian Village, where she's been staying. The Bloody Creek Bridge is northeast. What was she doing up there in the woods? As of this minute, it's my contention that the medical examiner will find evidence of violent death prior to the car crash. I say she was murdered elsewhere, and her body driven to the bridge. The obvious suspect? The guy she was living with. The bartender. You read her letter. I should reconstruct a scenario. Go ahead. What's his name? Jake Westrup. After he blackens her eye and she flees to a friend's house, she calls her grandmother and makes arrangements to fly to California. All she has to do is wait until he's at work and then go over and pick up her clothes and other belongings. She doesn't know he's been fired and he will be there. How do you know? I get around. I hear things. So there they are, face to face. She knows too much, and he knows that she knows. There's only one thing to do, and he does it. He has to make it look like a car accident, and he has to wait till the following night. Who knows why? I can think of several reasons. Whatever. He drives the body to the Bloody Creek Bridge, straps it into the driver's seat, then rolls the car into the gorge. From there he can easily cut through the woods and get home before daylight. I could tell you more, but the police should pick him up before he heads back to Montana. I'll leave it up to you, and the prosecutor, and the medical examiner. You can take Phoebe's letter, but leave me out of it. Pause and take a break. There's a paw on the page, so drink up, babe.
Yeah. So close.
Okay, I didn't think they were just gonna straight up kill her at like in the last couple of chapters.
I didn't.
At all.
Nope.
I will admit I did not expect any. I didn't expect any murder. I expected like
someone already died.
I was like, well, yes, a lifetime throw-in kind of fucking something needs to happen to just spice it up would be nice.
No.
But I thought they were gonna do something a lot more different or random.
God,
I don't know.
She's like retarded and pink shit.
So you gotta kill her.
Yeah.
She likes butterflies. Kill her.
Unacceptable.
She had a bird. Kill her. Walking away from the law office, Quilleran experienced a singular reaction. Suddenly, he wanted nothing more to do with butterflies. He would set them free immediately, ready or not. There would be no celebration, no excited audience, no dissertation in the quill pen column. He was still clutching the 3 carnations wrapped in green tissue, and his impulse was to toss them into the nearest trash receptacle. On second thought, he drove home and left them on Celia Robinson's doorstep. She would spend the rest of her life wondering who left them. The Siamese were awaiting their noon treat impatiently, but he ignored them and ran up the ramp to the guest room. All 5 painted ladies were now flying deliriously around their enclosure. He carried the box outdoors and opened it without ceremony. One of them could hardly wait to test the great outdoor world. The others followed cautiously, one by one, until all were joyously on the wing. Quilleran was neither glad nor sorry to see them go. He had a sense of desperation that he could not explain. The box he threw into the trash in the tool shed. Indoors, he consigned all butterfly notes to the wastebasket and would have tossed the butterfly guidebook after them, but it had been borrowed from the library. Was it anger, or was it grief? The so-called butterfly girl had been just another interview subject, another newsworthy character. Yet she had told him more about herself than he wanted to know. With an artist's instincts, she had wanted to carve her own career and design her own lifestyle. One of her major decisions had been wrong, only to be followed up by impulses of equal mischance. One recollection that infuriated Quilleran was that jackass's rude way of calling her monkey, and she liked it. End of chapter. Only 20 pages left. 2 chapters and 20 pages.
Nice. Thanks, serious.
Yeah, so, like, I'm not gonna say that that was badly written. I think it was an okay section in a way to try to lyrically wax, as the authors say, I guess, his feelings about her dying. But I'm just saying, why the fuck did no one give that much of a shit about Mary Coggan?
She wasn't hot.
I know! That is why. Mary Coggin was the tits. I am still sad that Mary Coggin's dead. She was a badass bitch. Fuck her. I don't know if my children are even still alive. Whatever age they are. R.I.P. Mary C.
Wasn't like murdered.
Yeah, she was.
Oh wait, yeah, she was.
She was.
Oh, wait, sorry,
She
yeah,
was just
sorry.
burnt alive.
Sorry. It's just because she's 93. I'm like, well, what if you're just old and people are like old people die? They just catch their house on fire. They don't die from old age. Just catch their house on fire.
No, she was burnt alive by
no,
the
dude,
painted girl's boyfriend.
What did I just say? That I have proof of. I am bad with names.
No, I know that. I'm just saying, like, that is the worst part. I'm saying she and her boyfriend are the reason, technically, why Mary Coggin's dead, and whatever. R.I.P. Mary C. Oldest bitch on the block. God, she really has done the effort of wrapping it the fuck up in, like, as
I have
fast
never
as she
seen
could.
a thicker, more layered, faster croissant wrap than this book wrap up.
No.
No, okay.
Because the other shitty one of the same thing. It was also the exact same thing. It was the poor
White
punk
trash.
and or racist and or black and or whatever kid is the one who did it.
Wow, what a surprise. Wow. Right.
The only difference is that in this one... No, the only actual difference in this book is that she just wrote it better because she pretty much wrote it as, like, he did it because he was paid to do it, I think.
Oh, yeah, like this book versus the other.
This one.
Yeah, no, I know.
Whereas the other one was like, I'm so poor and I want to give my girlfriend a cool necklace, so I'm going to just steal your shit and kill you.
Oh, no,
Excellent.
this is, well, there are people that are just, they'll do it.
Unless my mind, did she did it say that, or am I, no, it didn't. They just talked about it. Or they just talked about it, they don't know the thing yet. I'm assuming Ramsbottom, or whatever, paid him to do it, but I mean it hasn't been actually officially said yet, so I can't really say that until it's been officially written down.
I'm guessing just
my brain's just saying that because I'm like, well,
I'm
that
just
makes
guessing
sense.
based on everything that's happened. It seems like he has been paid,
No, yeah.
but I don't know. Maybe he's just chaotic, and they're like, "Hey, kids, do you want a lollipop?"
I don't fucking know, man. Maybe the kid's just like, fuck it.
No, or he's like, "Oh, man, that ain't the best I've ever been paid because I'm only paid in corn shoes or whatever." Fuck. That was not this book. That was quality fucking reading material.
I'm just still.
This is better reading material.
I'm just still so confused, I guess, by Jake. Like, am I just remembering everything wrong, or is he not the actor who's also a bartender weirdo kid? So, who's also apparently, doing, like, you said, like, phone sex on the side, because he's always talking to, like, women at night.
I mean, I didn't say it was fun, so I said it was straight up.
Well, yeah, you just say it
whore.
was true. Well, yeah, that's probably true. Yeah. So I'm saying, like, I don't know how desperate was a theater kid to want to fucking, like, murder a lady.
I don't. Do you see what?
I'm really depressed because I actually really wanted the bird to show back up.
Oh my god, dude.
Also, I could have sworn the bird was going to get murdered. I don't know why I assumed that. I've been assuming the bird was going to get murdered since I read the original cover of the book when I bought it. I don't know why. Like, I wasn't like, well, not a cat. Like, yeah, obviously, if you feel like a cat could probably eat the bird doll. But, like, that's not going to happen.
It's like a big...
I was like, it's going to be
it's
murdered by someone in town who's
But
like,
it's also like a...
I hate offensive, cursing,
Wait.
sexual birds. I stabbed it.
Dude, it's also like a big bird. Like, a cat would have to work hard to kill like a bird that big, I think. I don't think
That's
it's
true.
tiny. I think it's like one of... Like, I think it's, like, bigger than the microphone kind of bird. Like,
Yeah.
Yay. Big.
No, I know.
So,
It's
like,
just
it would be an equal fight.
No, it wouldn't. It would be, but I'm saying I never assumed that. I always assumed some.
Oh, like a canary, like just it's like.
No. I'm saying I never assumed a fight between the cat and the bird. I always assumed from the moment that I read the back cover that some puritanical, sex and cursing hating person came in the middle of the night and murdered this bird because it wouldn't shut up all of its obscenities. And that's what I assumed was going to be the next part. It was like, oh, the barn's going to burn down. I was like, there's this bird that says things badly. I was like, it's going to be an evil lady in town, and she's going to come in, she's going to kill the bird. And, like, that hasn't happened. The bird went away.
I love your hand motion when you said kill the bird.
Yes, that's right. Knife cut the bird right across the throat like you would a normal man.
No. Well,
I could kill the bird so many other ways, but no, I'm going to go behind it ninja style and knife cut its throat.
That's the most respectful way to kill a bird.
It's to cut its jugular.
Dude, a bird is a brother.
I'm saying I think there might be faster ways to kill a bird.
I mean, cutting someone's throat is pretty fast. You just make the mistake. Oh my god. Okay.
You make the mistake of cutting your hand as well, for what?
No, you make the mistake of cutting too, because you see this big ass bird, and you just cut here first. Even where's the neck? Oh, it's way deep. I'm saying, oh, that's. See, that's
you have to use the knife to shave down the feathers a little bit.
I mean, you don't have to shave the feathers. You could just cut the bird's neck. It's not a wall. I don't think you understand what a bird is.
I've never had a bird.
Have you ever touched a bird?
I touched one bird one time.
That's cool. Birds have much feathers, and so you slit its throat because you think it's got a thick ass neck, and you're like, oh, and it still is asleep. And it can either kill you because it's like, what the fuck, or then you finally cut it. And I mean, you have to get a very tiny knife to slit a bird's throat, because it's like, if you just try to slit its throat, it'd come off. Well, if you don't want to do that. But that'd be pretty cool to have a bird head. I've always wanted a bird beak. Those would be cool earrings. Like, if you hammered them, like, if you all meld them together, like, it'd be a really cool, like, texture of a... I'm talking about, like, earring. Like,
No, I don't like regular earrings.
No, your earrings.
Oh.
I'm talking about, like, no, that would be, like...
Oh, like trying to hammer them out and, like, turn them like a long tunnel?
No. You fucking weird. Fucking asshole. Do you think when people have, like, ivory things, it's because it's the size? You know, you put it together. No, and I'm not talking about bird fucking poaching. I'm talking about when your bird dies and you make fucking plugs out of its beak. That's what I'm fucking talking about. Because it's a very interesting fucking, like, material. So if you like resin and fucking did it, it'd be pretty dope. Someone do that with a parrot if your parrot dies, and they always die.
Of natural causes.
Yeah, it's called a cage.
Yeah. But I don't know why I've been assuming that was the way the book was gonna go since I read the cover. I don't know why.
Dude, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You said it. Like, before you even started it, you were like, oh, the bird died. And I was like, what are you fucking talking about?
I said... Oh, wait. Okay. Okay. Maybe I'm not crazy.
You're crazy.
Right. Okay. A few scattered drops of blood on the floor near the cage of a resident parrot. A parent who happens to have a penchant for talking dirty indicate that the thief did not escape without a mark. Right, that's what it says. It says that, and I forgot the without a mark part, so I forgot, yeah. The bird scratched him when he took the painting. That's the blood was from, but my brain just forgot the fucking scratch the mark part and was like, a couple drops of blood near the fucking body of the bird whose head was severed inside of the cage.
Or, like, it was gone because we don't know, but there's blood near the cage and there's feathers strewn about. Like, that's for some reason what my mind has been thinking since I read this in Goodwill. And so I've the whole time been like, so what's going to happen with the bird? And the bad guy apparently has the bird. And I'm like, where the fuck is the bird? It's kind of saying for the birds, where's the bird?
Okay, it's not that bird.
Oh my god, I know that because they don't even get to see birds like in the flesh. They gotta be in a gazebo that apparently has like glass tunnels and windows or something. I'm still like trying to envision this, and I just get. I don't even know. I just envision like a house and then like this hamster tube to a gazebo. Because he was always like, I help them to it. So I either imagine that there's a door to the outside and he walks to a gazebo that isn't fully encased. And for some reason, there's this basket that is held by a pulley system of ropes. And he sits the cats inside of them. And he's like, reek, 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 reek. Reek, reek, and he fucking shovels them through the basket all the way over to this little window that he has made that opens to go right inside the enclosed gazebo. Or I've imagined that, yes, he has a door outside and they have this hamster tunnel and he just shoves them through the tunnel, slows the outside door closed so they have to go through, and then they do go through and they all chill out until he shoves them back in the other way. Like, either way, my visual image of what this is...
Also, I'm saying he's like, I hear their screams. Every chapter is like, I hear their yowls.
Wait, I do, never mind.
And I'm like, so I think it is that. I think he locks them in a biodome until he fucking feeds them.
That's like all I'm seeing. And then I imagine that he's a real asshole because for some reason, I don't remember if they said
but that's
that.
the thing. See, and that was the first step. Is that he's had him forever, obviously. These cats are sick at this motherfucker. And that was the first step. He has a biodome now. But he still has his old habits of just shoving him in the fucking pantry. Because that was the first one. And well, if I could just make you stop screaming.
And the worst thing with the visual image of this, too, is that it's not there. I don't think they said anything like this in the book. But for some reason, in my brain, I'm like, yeah, Quilloran is such an asshole that this enclosed gazebo is enclosed with, like frosted glass. So the birds just get to see the small colored shapes of shadows going by. He's like, they love watching the birds. I'm like, they love watching these shadows that are going by because you won't let them see the birds. They hear the chirps coming through,
but they don't get to see them. He does have frosted glass, right?
I don't think he does. I'm saying I imagine that because that's just how much of an asshole I see him as. That I just see it as the entire thing is frosted. And he's like, enjoy your outdoor time.
Well, yeah, because he also needs his outdoor. Because this is how I imagine it, okay?
Okay.
I imagine the basket. I do imagine the basket. The basket thing, spot on. I mean, the kicking is good, but I still think there's a plexiglass wall and a man door. Because a 6'8" man door.
He needs something.
Yeah. And it goes into the same place, but there's a plexiglass door in between where the cats chill. And I was imagining full glass, but see, I think that's more chaotic because I feel like full glass. Like, there's no shadow, there's no shade, there's just full glass. But it's also like a corner, like, yay there to yay here. And that's all they get. And they're locked in, but then he just sits there and looks at his... Because he's got an outdoor something. He says he doesn't have a lawn, but he keeps talking about lots of planes.
Well, he's like, I have a gazebo. I don't have my lawn. I've had landscapers in to fit in different flowers so that different birds will come. So I've got landscape flowers around a lawn of weeds and overgrown grass, which I'm saying is a fine look, but I'm saying, like, the visual image of what he's done.
No, the visual image is guarded. No, I'm just saying I see the man door, and then I just see him going out, and then he can leave, but they're stuck there in their gazebo, until he comes back, and they're yowling, and that's what I mean. when I think full glass, I think greenhouse, and that's
No,
why
yeah,
they're
that's what I'm
screaming
seeing, too.
when it comes back.
Well, that's why I say fully enclosed. I'm saying a gazebo, which we know what the size of a gazebo usually is fully enclosed every single inch with, like, a frosted glass. That's what I imagine.
I don't know. Okay. That's not what I think a gazebo is. I think a gazebo is a nice breezy thing in the park. But
No, that's what I think gazebo is. I'm saying we know the size of a gazebo. Gazebo is an area, open, rounded, kind of bench sitting thing that's very nice and fun. I'm saying I think he took that and enclosed it with frosted glass because he doesn't want his cats to go outside, because he, like, the way they've described that they're never outside. They're just always being... They literally said, like, they've got, like, a tunnel or a walkway. It is something weird, but he said that.
But yeah, no, all I see is his man-sized door, and then he gets to leave out his back door. Because he keeps being like, I put my bike in, I brought it in through the back door. But I'm like, but how? Because then the cats would get outside if you brought it in through the back door. So it has to be some kind of something. I don't know what's going on.
I don't either.
Because he's got like a hamster cage for his cats that they can't get out of until they yowl for food. Please feed us, we're dehydrated and sad. And then he's got his entrance. That's what I mean. That's why it's the plexiglass. Because just to add insult to injury, it's just so they can watch him leave and go freely, but they cannot. That's what.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's exactly what I think. It's just... no matter how much I read anything else in this book, I just am always thinking about that setup.
Like, oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
What?
You know how I'm always like, I want to make blueprints?
Oh, you want to try to make like a visual blueprint?
I want to try to draw this blueprint. That means I'm going to have to go back through the book.
You have to go back. It's one chapter.
Yeah, but then there's things that are mentioned, like baskets.
It's true.
It's fine. I should have had you make a highlighter of every time you kick the cats into their dome. But,
You mean a pen circle? Because I don't even know where our highlighters... Oh, wait, never mind, they're everywhere.
we have highlighters, absolutely.
Sorry, I forgot we actually do have everything. For some reason.
Oh, we have every...
Art-related, kind of.
A highlighter is the best kind of art. People don't know what highlighters, like, seriously, need to check themselves.
Yeah. Chapter 18. The Siamese always had a calming effect on Quilleran when he was perturbed by outside circumstances. With apologies for the delay, he gave them their noontime treat and watched as they devoured the kibibbles with serious crunching and rapturously waving tails. When the last morsel was gone and no more could be found on the floor surrounding their plates, the two epicures washed up in unison. 4 licks of the paw, 4 swipes over the mask, 4 passes over the ear, all repeated with the other paw. The choreography was remarkable.
Oh my god.
I still don't know if she knows about cats, though. I just still sometimes swear. It just seems like...
Yeah, like I said...
What cat do? I don't know. Maybe it's just really fucking funny to her. And, like, I get it, because... I can get it. It's just really funny, because I don't know. When the ritual was finished, Quilleran announced, "Gazebo!" They rushed to the coat hooks and looked up at the tote bag. Then, while they communed with the birds and bees, he settled down to write another 1,000-word opus for the quill pen. Equipped with a legal pad, some pencils, and a little dog-eared book, he intended to start another pasty war among readers of the something. The meat and potato turnover was a regional specialty 400 miles north of everywhere. Whether or not it should contain turnip was a hotly debated issue, and had been for more than a century. Now a historical recipe had turned up in a tattered book that Eddington Smith discovered among memorabilia from an old farmhouse. Excitedly, he had phoned the barn saying, "Quill, come quickly, I've found something."
It proved to be a 1905 hardcover, thin as a slice of bread and brown with age and grease spots, and it contained a pasty recipe calling for pig's liver. Oh, yum. Oh. Sorry, I got real hungry there for a second, man. Quilleran knew his readers would rise up in consternation. It would result in the biggest fracas since the controversy over Tipsy's feat in her portrait at the tavern. Now that the spell game was over, the public needed another electrifying topic to roil their passions. The little book had been published, apparently, for families who raised hogs and did their own butchering. At one time in Moose County history, that would include almost everyone. These folk would need ideas for using leftover ears, tails, entrails, and blood from cattle and sheep as well as hogs. There were recipes for blood sausage, hog's pudding, cow heels, and Scottish haggis. Quilleran had eaten haggis at the annual Scottish Night in Pickaxe, always curious about the ingredients. Now he knew, and wished he had remained ignorant.
Okay, one stop.
Racist!
No, yeah, racist. 1. 2, I was right. You ain't a no cultured bitch. 3, what the fuck is this town? Like, you just said in a chapter or two before, they'd want some fucking clanted fucking cross as a memorial. Okay, so that means probably at every festival, I know those are two different countries, but I'm saying if you're like, oh, they're that fucking Irish, well, then they're that fucking Scottish and everything else immigrant fucking too. So why would it be a Scottish night? I think there would always be haggis if it was this fucking popular and, oh, for a brief time, for a time in the history. If it's a time in the history, it would probably still be here. I'm sorry. This book is racist, and also, you're not cultured. Who the fuck doesn't want to eat something? You talk about books all the, like, if you can talk, did he wipe something out of his mustache? Is that why you're looking at me?
No, I actually wasn't.
Sorry, I thought you were looking up being like, oh, he napkined his mustache. Sorry.
And, like, I can never remember what the ingredients are to haggis. Also, I don't know why you called it Scottish haggis. I don't know if there is a difference or if haggis is just a Scottish thing.
For one, it doesn't matter. It's just.
Oh, I know. No, I'm just saying.
It's just called. It's fucking slop. That's what it is. It's just fucking everything. I don't know why people fucking give a shit. They're like, oh, it's made with this. Fuck off.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying I don't know what it's usually made of, but it's food.
Well, and you make that sound so much worse.
No, I'm saying like it's probably just a bunch of good things.
But no, that's what I'm saying.
Put together.
I just don't get why people will eat fucking fruit genitals cut up and fruit genitals cut up and ground up thighs all put into a soup with more fruit genitals because tomatoes are the base to everything. And then old dehydrated dead plants, and then you eat it. Oh, does that sound tasty? Yeah, it does sound tasty. Why doesn't something else sound tasty? Oh, it's feet. Ooh, it's dicks. Ooh, it's intestines. You eat pepper intestines every goddamn day. Every goddamn day you put pepper on anything, you're eating pepper intestines. It doesn't have a face. You tell me that when you've seen things you can't understand.
Dude, and it's just like, it just seems like you're always dealing with the diary fan fiction of a fucking, like, young child. Because it's like, why did you throw in your obvious, as a writer, distaste for what you've probably never had in your entire life? So you're going to shit on pig's liver. And you're gonna shit on haggis.
I'm just saying, like, I'm not trying. Okay,
like
see, I can flick and flick back and forth. I can defend Quilleran real quick. I'm saying, as a fucking person, he's a douchebag.
That's fine.
I mean, no.
Yeah.
I'm saying he's a douchebag. He's like, pig intestine. Well, That's not exactly like the type they have in the book I read about in Nepal. But it is a fucking, equivalent to this because I've read about it. Because I read and I read and I eat and I read. Like, he would, like, why? I just don't, yeah, I know, I hate that when it's like, he, it appeals to the audience for a second. I know, but I guess that's how people rate books because that is how you have to break it. Sorry, I'm having a writer's moment of just, is that how you're supposed to do it? Of you write a character and then you make everything sound insane because you're trying to relate to your audience?
Dude.
Sorry, that was a genuine question for, like, no, I'm saying for, like, thinking about shit like this and writing and shit, I just don't know. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so fucking hungry.
Pudding.
I'm so fucking hungry.
Dude, just between blood pudding or blood sausage and hog's pudding. Like, cow heels, I could take it or leave it, but fucking hogs.
Oh my god. You're saying you're not gonna take those tender fucking.
No. I'm saying of all of those things, I'm saying cow's heel is like, it's not the most appealing to me off the bat. I'm saying hog's pudding is something I would fucking love to have right now, just automatically.
I mean, it's still just gonna end up with a bunch of beans.
Oh, that sounds good to me. I don't care.
I mean, all the things are.
There were instructions for stuffing a boar's head. About the snout, you have to sew it to keep it shut. About the ears, you can stick a parsnip or carrot in them to keep their shape. And be sure that the head has a large collar. While concentrating on these esoteric details, Quilleran became aware of a rumbling in Coco's innards. Then the ears of both cats pointed east as the crunch of footsteps was heard in the lane. Peevishly, he sat aside his writing pad and went out to confront the intruder. It was Culvert. "Hi," the boy said. "My mom sent you some cookies." He handed Quilleran a foil-wrapped package. "Peanut butter and raisin. My favorite." "Well, thank you. Thank you very much," said Quilleran, whose list of favorites excluded peanut butter and raisin. "Tell your mother I appreciate her thoughtfulness." Like, does he just have to hate everything good? I've never had peanut butter and raisin because...
Wait, what?
Everyone is always an asshole,
Wait,
and it's like such a rarity to even find people that like peanut butter cookies, and it's such a rarity to find people that like oatmeal raisin cookies.
Wait,
for some reason. No, I've had peanut butter and I've had raisin. I've never had both together.
No, I'm saying you never had peanut butter oatmeal raisin cookies.
No,
it's the best cookie on the planet.
I think I've just had peanut butter, like peanut butter.
Well, I mean,
peanut butter. I don't know what they call them. Peanut butter cookies.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying you've never had, like, when the dough is made. You know, like, how you can make the dough, you know what I was obsessed with, because, in white trash, the powdered sugar and the peanut butter.
Oh, yeah.
You don't find that anywhere else with white trash.
No, yeah, you still haven't do it with dough.
You just add more of that to the dough. And then you put the fucking, oatmeal and the raisins.
No, I assume. I'm just saying I've never had it.
Oh, God. You poor child. That's the best fucking thing. Need those now.
Here's a note. It was signed Dawn McBee. And it read, "Rollo and I would like to say thank you for everything you've done. You made Maud's funeral important in ways that no one could do. Or no one else could do. And her tombstone. It's so perfect. It makes me cry." Culvert was thrilled to see his pictures in the paper, and they actually sent him money. And when he was up on stage with the Muckers, Rollo and I almost burst with pride. He spells that 28-letter word for everybody he meets. The Muckers are going to the World Series in September. Until then, it'll be kind of hard living with a 10-year-old who's suddenly 9 feet tall. He's 9 now, but he'll be 10 next month. Why are you telling me again?
It wasn't funny the first time, but
and
it was
actually
sarcastic the first time. Now it's just, what? I'm sorry, fine, sorry.
Quilleran said. Congratulations on your spelling last night. Do you want me to spell that word for you? Not right now. I have work to do. Some other time. Would you like a cookie to eat while you're walking home? Take 2. Pause and take a break. There's a paw on the page, so drink up, babe.
Do you just want to drop to your knees for him instead of being like, do you want me to spell it for you? He didn't say that, right? That was her?
No, that was him. That was the kid.
Well, no, that was the kid talking to Quilleran.
Yeah, that was the kid.
No, that's, okay, sorry, him, I don't fucking give a shit.
I don't either.
I'm saying, do you just want to drop on your knees instead of saying that? Do you want me to spell it for you? I'm really good at spelling. I'm really good with my mouth.
Dude, everyone does.
I know. This is the best harem book I've ever read. Like, if
it
I
really is, though.
No, and there's so many.
The entire town loves him.
It's a harem town.
The entire town is his harem. The entire town.
He has a harem town.
He has a harem town. Like, it's so funny, because, like, I don't know. It's like when men write books, a lot of times, their characters come off
Dude, but I don't
half realized, and then their women are just lost. And then when women write books with men as main characters, they make them always seem to be like Hugh Hefner. I don't know why. It's always like harem based. Like anytime a woman writes a man,
yeah, but
it is like a harem.
Once again, who is it for? I will still never understand who the fuck is for. You fucking do this!
I hope you're all smart enough alcoholics you're just drinking normally, because like I shouldn't have to pause every time I say, well, that deserves a drink, because good God, it's a lot. So hopefully everyone's like me.
Life deserves a dark drink.
Fuck the goddamn wheeze.
My hair fell over my eyes, I had to say.
On the way to the newspaper office to hand in his Friday copy, Quilleran stopped at the library to drop off the Butterfly guidebook. The parking lot was fairly well filled, and he assumed the patrons were gathering to commiserate over the death of the butterfly girl. At that time, the public assumed it was another accident at a dangerous bridge. They would be saying that something should be done about it. People should write letters to the paper. People should complain to the county commissioners. Her parents must feel terrible. She was their only child. She painted those beautiful pictures. That was what Quilleran expected to hear. But such was not the case.
Goddamn dirty bitch!
You know, she owed me like $300 for painting supplies. And then she sold me a painting. Damn bitch.
I really need the help right now.
Damn bitch. There was an atmosphere of jollity in the library. Patrons were all smiles. 2 volunteers who had been on the picket line were wheeling book carts and replenishing shelves. They waved and said, "Hi, Mr. Q." Just then he stepped on a toy mouse. Two things, not trying to be annoying. A, why does everyone say hi to him?
Like, you can't be this popular.
Everyone.
You can't be this popular.
Like, you do realize everyone in this town pretty much knows me? But there are people that talk to me,
Dude, I realize,
and people who don't.
Dude, I realized I fucking knocked into the mayor with my cart one time at United.
When? Where?
Like, when I went shopping one time. Like, she was just shopping. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying no one says, "Oh, hi, Mayor. Hi, Quilleran. Hello.
I was like, everyone be like, "Well, hey there, Sheriff." Like, oh my.
Oh, I've also knocked the sheriff. That was just unintentional, though, but it was just like...
Do you just gravitate into knocking into people?
No, it was more like we were in the same... that was with the cart. But then with fucking him. It was more we were just like, oh. It was more a moment of I was looking at something and he was looking at something.
Ooh.
And it was more like just it was more just too close and you're trying to grab the same shit.
Binding hole.
Oh no.
No, look. Come here.
No, I know. Like
Why is there a toy mouse on the floor of a library?
well, because there are cats there now.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Because he, dropped off cats like a fucking crack mom just dropping off their babies.
It was really funny because the librarian is his girlfriend, so they're not gonna sleep in the library.
But, I mean, they could have toys.
They're not going to sleep in the library. So I'm saying it's really funny to say, I can't take care of these cats. I will go bring them to the library where my girlfriend works, who most likely will have to take the cats home.
Dude, I don't think you understand. Quilliran is retarded. You know how I said he dropped the groceries off?
Yeah, he also dropped the cats off. He's like,
he
it's not the same
thinks
thing.
she lives at the library. Because he thinks that's his mystical, magical girlfriend's house and she lives in the castle library. Yay, my girlfriend's so cool. She fucking lives in this library with all these books, with all these words. My girlfriend lives with words. That's why he keeps dropping groceries off at the library.
Word, bro.
Word.
Yeah,
no, he's retarded.
Well, that's obvious.
No, but I think he genuinely thinks this is her house. That's why he took the cats here. Because he was like, hey, can you take care of these cats? Because
that would make sense. That's why he brought the groceries there, because he does think it's her house.
Exactly. The groceries and the cats. He's like, this is your house, so can you take care of these cats? And she's like...
He's like, well, yeah, my teacher used to live at the school, and you live at the library, so that's how the world works, yes?
I'm worried for this man.
He looked around and saw an orange cat lounging on the circulation desk, with plumed tail drooping languidly over the edge. His fur was fluffy, and his large gold almond-shaped eyes brimmed with catly bliss. I have never in my life heard a human being write almond eyes for a cat. As Quilliran approached the desk, a woman lifted a small boy up to drop pennies in a bowl already half filled with nickels, dimes, and quarters. She looked at Quilliran and said, he took these pennies out of his own bank to help feed these kitties. Other patrons were scribbling on small slips of paper and dropping them in a pair of gift boxes with slots cut in the lids. One of the clerks behind the desk said, would you like to help name he cat and she cat, Mr. Q? They're our new mascots. That's her up on the stairs. She likes to supervise. Polly, coming down the stairs, stopped to stroke Quilliran's mustache.
Shut the fuck up. It's so normal sounding, though.
It is. It sadly is. But it's not. Oh, no shit. Oh, fuck off! Polly, coming down the stairs, stopped to stroke the brown and black fluffy fur with tortoise shell markings. She said to Quilliran, this is the best thing that's happened since the Dewey Decimal System. One of the local veterinarians is going to give them a health check without charge. They seem completely happy here. When I came in today, they were playing tag among the stacks. The female is such a flirt. She flops down and looks at people upside down, and they're absolutely smitten. One man is going to construct an 8-foot carpeted cat perch. Did you call the paper? Quilliran asked. First thing, and Roger was here to take pictures. I'll call Bushy. He might be able to get them on a cat calendar. Be sure to drop some names for them in the boxes, Polly reminded him. Have you found out who left them on your doorstep? Not a thing.
I predict it will go down in Moose County history as an unsolved mystery, like the fate of the lighthouse keepers on Breakfast Island. Quilleran left the library without telling her that the Blood Creek accident was really murder. She would hear the shocking news soon enough. It was aired by WPKX on the 6 o'clock news. The body found in a wrecked car in Bloody Creek early this morning was a victim of homicide. According to the medical examiner, he stated that Phoebe Sloan was killed about 24 hours before the car went into the gorge. A suspect has been arrested and will face arraignment tomorrow. Pause and take a break. There's a paw on the page, so kill your liver, babe. In the late evening, Quilleran phoned the police chief at home and said, Andy, if you haven't gone on the wagon, how about putting on your shoes and coming over for a nightcap? Brody lived conveniently close by, and in 5 minutes the headlights of his car came bouncing through the evergreen wood, monitored by Coco, standing on his hind legs in the kitchen window. Chief strode into the barn with the swagger of a bagpiper and the roaming eye of a law enforcement agent. Professional. I can't read. My brain saw 3 different words. Put them together. That's fine. The first thing he saw was the recumbent bicycle, leaning against the stone wall in the lounge area. What do you expect to do with that weird contraption? He demanded. If you ride it on Main Street, motorists will be running up on the sidewalk and killing pedestrians. He took a seat at the snack bar where his glass of scotch and a wedge of cheese were waiting. He raised his glass and said, Cheers! Quilleran raised his glass of spunk water. Same to you. Okay, Andy, what happened today after the prosecutor was alerted? The medical examiner had already ruled it death by a blow on the head some 24 hours before the car went into the gorge. When Barter came up with the name of a suspect, the investigators hot-footed it to Indian Village. But the suspect's van had already left. Roadblocks had already been set up in 3 counties. They stopped him in Lockmaster, south of Flapjack. He'll be charged tomorrow with arson and 2 counts of homicide. Amanda Goodwinter heard screams Tuesday night, followed by sudden silence. Mandy doesn't miss a thing. How about the Ramsbottom connection? It's a safe bet that the suspect will implicate him at the Coggins incident. He'd be crazy not to. Came a comment from Coco. What kind of noise is that? Sounds like a dirty old ram. Quilleran asked. Would you say Chet's glory trip is over? You watch and see. Besides the criminal charge, there'll be a civil suit filed by the Campbell clan. I wouldn't want to be in that guy's shoes, one way or another. It wouldn't surprise me if they got him on income tax evasion too. He's been playing all the angles. When Broderick Campbell confessed to watering the liquor, did the general public believe him? He had a reputation as an upstanding young man. I'll tell you, Quill, this town is always knee-deep in rumors and gossip and opinions, and people will believe what fits their own interests. Let me freshen your drink, Quilleran offered. Have some more cheese. How much did you have to do with this case, Quill? Don't try to hide behind G. Allen Barter. How much did old Nosy Nose have to do with it? Coco takes the 5th. I ran into Lieutenant Hames when I was down below last week. He asked about Coco. He told me some amazing things about that cat. I didn't know whether to believe him or not. Brody and Hames were the only individuals Quilleran had ever taken into his confidence on that score. The detective was an absolute believer. The police chief was still 50% skeptical. Well,
As I've told you before, all cats have senses above and beyond those of humans, Quilleran began. You hear about house cats foiling a burglary, warning about a fire, predicting an earthquake. Coco goes a step further. When he senses something wrong, something of a criminal nature, he lets his suspicions be known in subtle ways. I'd like to demonstrate something, Andy. Quilleran knew he was taking a chance. Coco, with his natural feline perversity, might not feel like cooperating, or perhaps the previous feat was a fluke. Nevertheless, it was worth a try. Quilleran brought the antique compass from its drawer and placed it with exaggerated reverence on the bar. Here's something I acquired from a rare source, a 17th century Italian compass. Does it still work? Of course it works. They made things better in the old days, didn't they? He removed the decorative lid and the compass card quivered delicately before setting down with the star pointed toward the dining area. That's north, all right, Brody said. Quilleran was relieved to hear Coco jump down from the fireplace cube with a grunt. A second later, he had jumped to the snack bar. Quilleran moved the cheese away and said, Coco is fascinated by the Earth's magnetic field. Watch what happens. The two men watched. Coco looked at the compass and then at the cheese. Quilleran thought anxiously. Suppose nothing happens. How do I explain? The brown tail bristled. The black nose twitched. The bold whiskers swept back as the cat approached the instrument in stealthily slow motion. Quilleran thought, what a ham. The twitching nose hovered a half-inch over the circle of glass. Underneath the glass compass card shuddered and started to move. Slowly, almost reluctantly, until the star pointed to the kitchen. Well, I'll be damned, Brody said. Does it mean he's hungry? Not exactly, Quilleran said, enjoying a private moment of triumph. He returned the compass to its drawer and brought 2 books from the library area. If the dining room is north, the kitchen is west, right? Now examine these 2 books. I read aloud to the cats daily. Actually, because it's good for my lungs, and Coco is allowed to choose the title for each reading. It's a game we play. He sniffs the bindings and knocks a book off the shelf. He's been hipped on The Day of the Locust and The Birds Fall Down. Why? What is your reaction to them? Brody handled them gingerly, as if they might be booby-trapped. They're kind of old. Never heard of either of them. They smell old, too, like they've been in somebody's basement. Must have come from Eddington's. Who are the authors? Look at the names on the title pages, Andy. Reluctantly, he did as he was told. Nathaniel West and Rebecca West. Any relation? Only in Coco's mind. He has a West fixation. What's the name of the guy in the county jail? Jake Westrup. So... Quilleran smoothed his mustache. Don't tell me you think there's a connection. It's just a coincidence. Sure, a 3-ply coincidence. Another splash of scotch, Andy? Brody held out his glass and had another look at the recumbent leanings against the stone wall. What does Coco think about that thing? He won't go within 10 feet of it. Cat's smarter than I thought. At that moment, Brody's beeper sounded. He tossed off the last of his drink and bolted for the door, saying, Thanks, see ya. Quilleran followed him to the parking lot and heard his radio squawking as he prepared to drive away. The moon was bright, the temperature mild, the breeze playful. On such a night, Quilleran was in no hurry to go back indoors. He walked around the barn thinking about the compass and the 2 books by the authors named West. Brody had a case. It was too absurd for a rational mind to accept, and yet, who could know anything about the circuitry in Coco's fantastic little brain? Only a Korzybowski could comprehend the cat's connections between things and meanings and messages. As he took a second turn around the building, he could hear an imperious baritone yowling. Thinking it a protest about the bedtime snack that was behind schedule, Quilleran went indoors to dish up kibibbles. There he found Coco alternately jumping at the door handle of the broom closet and running to the window in the foyer. This was no request for food. It was a subtle hint that he, too, wanted a moonlight excursion, and he wanted it immediately. The cat's body was trembling with excitement as he was buckled into his gear. Yum Yum, who had an aversion to leather straps, was hiding in one of her many secret places. The terrain was eerily illuminated by the full moon as the 2 adventurers set out down the lane, Coco riding on Quilleran's shoulder and Quilleran keeping a firm hand on the leash. The cat could see invisible movement in the underbrush, and he could hear inaudible sounds in the night air. Once a rabbit crossed their path, another time a waddling raccoon. Once there had been a great horned owl in the woods, who hooted in Morse code. But he had moved to wilder habitat after the art center was built. Coco liked to give the building a security check, tugging at the leash, walking about the studios, sniffing the aromas of the artist's turpentine, ink, and tuna sandwiches. On this occasion, Coco's body vibrated excessively as they neared the gate, and when they reached the art center, he did his imitation of a pelleted woodpecker, a rapid fire, like an automatic weapon in the still night. There was no traffic on Trevelyan Road. The empty parking lot looked blue in the moonlight. When Quilleran unlocked the front door, he felt a draft of air, as if a window were open. He could see through the main room into the sliding glass doors and the moonlit landscape beyond. One door had been left half open. Beverly would have a fit if she knew, no matter how warm the weather. With Coco still on his shoulder, he closed it. There was no need to turn on lights. The interior had an enchanting chiaroscuro effect. Rectangles of moonlight made a checkered board out of floor, walls, and furnishings. At that point, Coco struggled to get down and landed on the floor with a thump, where he stood like a statue with legs splayed and ears pricked. Then he pulled toward the studios. The darkness of the long hall was punctuated by pools of moonlight filtering through the studio doors. The floor squeaked under their feet, and Quilleran thought, new building, squeaking floors, bad construction. Suddenly the hush was broken by pounding footsteps, coming up the basement stairs at the end of the hall, and a tall figure charged toward them in the half-light. Quilleran stepped back into the manager's office, and at the same time Coco flew through the opposite door. Without intent, they had stretched the leash between them, and the fleeing intruder Oh my God. Without intent, they had stretched the leash between them, and the fleeing intruder tripped and fell headlong. Instantly, Coco was on the man's back, digging in with his claws and rattling a menacing At the same time, Quilleran reached back into the office to flip the wall switch, hoping to find a weapon. There it was.
The totem pole. As the phone figure struggled to rise, Quilleran tapped him on the back of the head with the wood carving. Hands behind your head. Don't move. We have an attack animal here, and he does not fool around. The head went down, and the hands came up. It was a head as red as the cap on a pleated woodpecker. With the leash in his left hand and the totem pole under his left arm, Quilleran reached back into the office for the phone and dialed 911. We're holding an escaped prisoner from the county jail. Holding him at the art center on Trevelyan Road. The prisoner was quiet. Every time he attempted to move, Coco threatened him with another "K," and kneaded his back with his claws. In a matter of minutes, the sirens and flashing lights converged on the building. As soon as possible, Quilleran and Coco made an unobtrusive exit. They weren't needed. The officers had their fugitive. The next morning, the WPKX newscaster reported, a police prisoner who escaped from county jail last evening was quickly apprehended by city and county officers in a hiding place at the art center on Trevelyan Road. As a suspect facing charges of arson and homicide, he will be arraigned today. End of chapter. Like, what was the point? Is he breaking into his house to kill him for no reason? Like, what because he knows that his ex-girlfriend sent him a letter, maybe? Like, I don't understand why this is happening. This doesn't make any sense. Last chapter. Chapter 19. On Friday afternoon, when Quilleran walked down the lane to pick up his newspaper and mail, he knew the art center would be closed, as a gesture of respect for one of their valued artists. Closed for 3 days, in fact. Yet there was a car in the parking lot. A yellow convertible backed up to the side door. Beverly Forfar was loading boxes into it. "What are you doing?" Quilleran called out to her. "Burglarizing the collection?" "I've resigned," she said soberly. "It's too much for me. I'm going back down below where I can get a quiet job in a museum." "Well, we're certainly sorry to see you go," he said. "But if you think you'll be more comfortable down there, that's the thing to do, and I wish you well. But we'll never find a manager quite like you." "Thank you, Mr. Q. Mr. Haggis has promised to keep an eye on the place until a manager is found." Then Quilleran had a brilliant idea. He said, "Do you remember the man who won the whiteness of white intaglio in the raffle? His sister-in-law had picked it up and was supposed to ship it to him in San Francisco. But there's been an unexpected development. Professor Frobnitz has taken a chair at a university in Japan. He wants the intaglio given to someone who will appreciate an artwork of that quality and sophistication. Would you like to have it? I understand it's quite valuable." "Oh, I'd love it!" she cried. "How nice of you to think of me! And what a beautiful going-away present. I'll always think of you when I look at it, Mr. Q." Wouldn't you more think of the artist who
No,
drew
because
it?
this is fucking Artland.
"How soon are you leaving?" he asked. "I can pick it up from his sister-in-law and deliver it here." After retrieving it from his broom closet and delivering it, Quilleran thought about the events that had driven Beverly Forfar from her post. First the farm mud that tracked into the art center, the ugly farmhouse and rusty truck across the road, the dogs and chickens running onto the highway, then the fire that sprinkled the art center with soot, while the firefighters' hoses created more mud, followed by the break-in and theft of Daphne's drawings, and the bane of her life, Jasper. The trespassers in the Click Club, the threat of a ring road funneling heavy trucks past the art center, and finally, the murder of an artist. If anyone deserved $1,000 intaglio, it was Beverly Forfar. Pause and take a break. There's a paw on the page, so drink up, babe. Quilleran had been caught up in a rush of events and problems in recent weeks, and now that it was all over and his participation no longer needed, he felt restless. It was Saturday afternoon, and Polly was having her final sitting for Paul Scumble. He himself was scheduled to officiate a small ceremony at the library. Meanwhile, he took off in his van for destinations unplanned. His first stop was Amanda Goodwinter's studio. "Has everything simmered down in Indian Village?" he asked. "Ach," she growled. "When they locked up that dunderhead, they left his parrot there without food, and the blasted bird has squawked nonstop for 36 hours. Not only was he noisy, he had a filthy mouth. At 3:30 this morning, I phoned the sheriff at home, got him out of bed, and said, 'You get over here and pick up that neighborhood nuisance in the next 10 minutes, or I'll personally see that you never get reelected. Put him in a foster home. Send him to parrot rehab. Do anything, but get him out of here and bring some peanuts with you, or he'll chew your arm off up to this elbow.' Well, a deputy showed up in 5 minutes, and I haven't heard so much as a floor squeak ever since." Pause and take a break. We got another paw, babe, so drink it if you're gonna fucking die. And there's just so many paws, and this is and the pause and drink it.
Parrot came back.
To then be put away forever.
Typical.
From there, Quilleran drove to Mooseville, having invented an excuse for visiting Elizabeth's boutique. He found the proprietor fluttering around the shop in gauzy garments and a state of elation. "Isn't it wonderful?" she gloated. "The barbecue is closed, and Derek's back at a full schedule MCCC. I'm really sorry about the butterfly girl, though. Derek said she was a decent person who didn't belong in that place. I would have handled her paintings, but they were too pricey for tourists and too representational for the yachting crowd. What can I do for you, Quill?" "I'd like a gift for Polly. We have something to celebrate." "How wonderful. Why not a lounge outfit?" Elizabeth suggested. "She likes caftans, and I have a lovely hand-woven cotton in saffron with 100 tiny tucks running vertically from neck to hem. Very simple, very elegant." "I'll take it," he said. On the way back to Pickaxe, Quilleran stopped at the stone yard to see Thornton Haggis. In spite of his buoyant mop of white hair and friendly gold-rimmed glasses, he looked mournful. "A sad day for the art community," he said. "How did she let herself get into such a mess?" "Too late for questions," Quilleran said. "She's gone, and so are her painted ladies." "Why didn't you call me? I wanted to see them take off." "Frankly, I didn't have the heart." Ramsbottom would be paying the piper at long last, if that's any consolation. My sons were talking to the county engineer. Looks like the 12 acres of paving will be ditched. The 100 acres he bought from Maud Coggin will be going up for sale to help cover legal fees, I suppose. Quilleran asked. "Have you heard anything about the cemetery expansion? That was part of the 100 acres. "I think that deal hadn't really gone through. The news must have been leaked prematurely for some nefarious reason. Do you have some time for lunch?" "Not today, thanks. I have another appointment." His appointment was at the public library, where he was to draw the winning names for 2 mascots. At the library, a crowd of 100 or more waited for the drawing. Quilleran took his place behind the circulation desk, on which were 2 boxes of names and 1 nonchalant he-cat. "Tradition requires," he announced, "that we draw 3 names, and the 3rd is the winner. All in favor?" "Yeah!" they shouted. It was the loudest clamor that had ever shaken the walls of that cathedral of information. He stirred the contents of the she-cat box and withdrew the first non-winner. "Bertha." There was a disappointed "Aw" from one person in the crowd. The next non-winner was Minnie K, bringing a number of regretful wails. Minnie K was a prominent figure in Moose County history, but that was a long, indelicate story. The K stood for Klingenschone. Quilleran shook the box vigorously before drawing the winning ticket. "And she-cat will hereinafter be known as Katie." There was a scream of delight, followed by applause from the others. "Where is she? Katie, come and take a bow." Someone found her, and he held her up for all to see. She was soft and fluffy, quite different from the sleek Siamese he brushed daily. He would be in the doghouse when he returned home. Yum Yum would resent his being chummy with another female. The audience waited expectantly for the next drawing. To prolong the suspense, Quilleran recited a limerick he had composed for the occasion. "An amorous tomcat named Jet loved every she-cat he met, but one day he got ill, and they gave him a pill, and now he's suing the vet." The limerick was received with laughter and screaming, another affront to the staid old building. Quilleran went on. "Okay, friends, are you ready to name this handsome fellow who is said to be a retired gentleman cat?" "Yeah!" The first ticket drawn was Moose. The second was Dickens. "And the winning name is..." Quilleran blinked at the ticket. "The winning name is Macintosh." It was his own middle name. A young woman was squealing and jumping up and down. "That's my ticket!" she shouted. "Good choice. What gave you the idea?" "My family has an apple orchard. I thought we could call him Mac." "And so," Quilleran concluded, "let us welcome as official library mascots Mac and Katie, who will do their personal best to make sure this is a friendly place to browse and borrow books." Pause and take a break. There's a paw on the page, so drink up, babe. In the days that followed, Moose County had more on its collective mind than Mac and Katie, or the spelling champs, or even the tragedy at Bloody Creek. In coffee shops and on street corners, they talked about nothing but the Comish. All who had voted for him praised his barbecue, winked at his kickbacks, and accepted his small bribes, began circulating unsavory stories. They all knew what had really happened in the Campbell scandal. They all knew about Bunny. They said his wife was a saint. She'd stand by him in spite of everything. They speculated that the house in the hummocks would be sold, and Mrs. Ramsbottom would go to live in Itabitawase Estates. Even so, some were confident that the Comish would wiggle out of the charges. Quilleran had his attorney moved fast to arrange for the purchase of the Coggin land by the K Fund, which would put it in conservation for agricultural use. A search for Coggin heirs, as required by law, had so far produced no claimants for the contents of the coffee can. Then there was an interesting political side effect: the sudden death of the proposed weed laws and road improvements in West Middle Hummock. Since their promoter was awaiting trial on criminal charges, the legislation was unpopular with both the lawn faction and the naturalists in that picturesque community. You got a paw on the page, just drink, whatever. One afternoon, Paul Scumble delivered Polly's portrait to the barn and helped to hang it in the suite on the first balcony. "I like it," Quilleran said as he wrote the check. "Do you like it?" "Yes, I'm quite proud of it," the artist admitted. "I think I captured her innate intelligence and compassion. She was a charming subject, cooperative and never bored or nervous." "I wonder what will happen to your portrait of Ramsbottom. The restaurant is closed." "I know one thing. It will appreciate in market value because of the notoriety. Meanwhile, it would be an honor to do your portrait without charge." "Are you still adamant about not painting cats?" "I'm afraid so," Scumble said. In Polly's portrait, she sat in a high-backed Windsor against a wall of leather-bound books, wearing a blue dress and pearls, holding a copy of Hamlet. When the Rikers saw it, Mildred said, "It's one of the loveliest contemporary portraits I've ever seen. It depicts gentleness and strength." "Humor and dignity," her husband said. "Let's have your portrait done, Millie." "Not until I lose 20 pounds. Perhaps he could paint you thinner." Polly said, "I'm sure I lost a few pounds on canvas." The three of them had come to the barn directly from their offices for the unveiling and a brief celebratory drink. While the Siamese observed from the top of the fireplace cube, the foursome sat around the lounge area and exchanged news and views. Arch said to Quilleran, "Are you going to leave that bike in the living room? It looks a little eccentric, if you don't mind me saying so." "I consider it a high-tech art object," Quill said. "The cats will knock it over when they go racing around, the way they scuttled a few other things I could name. They never go near it." Then Mildred announced that they were moving into their beach house for the summer, even though it meant a longer commute to the office. "It will be a good summer for UFO sightings," she said. "They return every 7 years." Arch and Quilleran, who scoffed at visitors from outer space, exchanged dour glances, and Arch said, "My sole reason for summering at the beach is to enjoy the revitalizing lake air in the company of my dear but wacky wife." And he added that the Moose County something would publish no photographs of mysterious lights in the night sky. The guests were looking at their wristwatches. It was time to leave. Polly for her bird club, and the Rikers for a dinner party. Quilleran accompanied them to the parking area, where the farewells were prolonged as everyone thought of something else to say. The library was planning a reception to introduce their new mascots. Polly said, Mildred suggested inviting Derek to bring his guitar. Quilleran ventured that Derek might compose a folk ballad about Mac and Katie. The two cars finally pulled away, with tooting and waving, and Quilleran went indoors to feed the cats. They were not waiting at the door. They were not on the fireplace cube. He stood still and did an eye search of their usual haunts. The top of the refrigerator, the softest furniture, the balcony railings. No cats. "Treats!" he shouted, and two furry bodies rose from the basket seat of the recumbent bike. "You jokers, you think that's funny?" he said. "You like to make a fool of anyone with only 2 legs?" All three of them had their treat. Roast beef from the deli. Some of it was diced and placed on 2 plates in the feeding station. Some of it was sliced and placed on rye bread with tomatoes and horseradish. Then they all went to the gazebo. Quilleran stretched out on a lounge chair overlooking the bird garden, and Yum Yum landed weightlessly on his lap. Coco sat at his feet with an alert eye for movement in the bushes and an alert ear for birdsong. Soon he was chattering an obligato or mewling a melodic phrase of his own. Amazing, Quilleran thought. More and more Coco's behavior convinced him that this was no normal feline. Coco was a natural predator who was never predatory. He had never been interested in catching mice, although Yum Yum had one or two to her credit. He made buddies of crows and sang for the wrens and robins. He was a house cat who knew when the telephone was about to ring and when something bad was happening half a mile away. He put ideas in one's head when there were problems to solve and secrets to uncover. Furthermore, Coco had devised uncatly ways of communicating information. Long before the Comish was implicated in the Coggin case, Coco was bleeding like a dirty old ram, although Quilleran had failed to read the message. Long before Phoebe's murder, he had taken a dislike to the woodpecker with a red topknot. And now that the case was in the hands of the prosecutor, he had suddenly lost interest in red checkers. The bell with a serpent for a handle, the antique compass, and Nathaniel and Rebecca. Such musings said more about Quilleran's imagination than the cat's communication skills. But where could one draw the line between coincidence and a super cat's intelligence? Somewhere there was an answer. Quilleran combed his mustache with his fingertips. One final combing! There was a noisy flapping of wings as 7 crows landed outside the screen, and Coco jumped down to greet them, in syllables not too different from their own language. Quilleran said to him, Coco, you are a remarkable, enigmatic, unpredictable, and sometimes exasperating cat. Coco turned away from the crows and gave the man a long look before opening his jaws in a wide, unlovely yawn. And that right there, my friends, is the end of the book.
Unlovely.
Unlovely. The last thing you can say is that a cat is ugly.
Wow, you hate cats. Bitch. That's the last thing I have to say about this book. Bitch, you hate cats.
And this is just one of an entire series. Like 50, I think. Okay, that's not right. It's probably like 15.
I think they're like 7 to 13.
That's probably more correct.
Yeah, that's way more correct. But... wow, you hate cats. That's all. Wow, okay.
Well, fuck. That was a fucking journey.
Oh my god, I did it! I read a book!
I enjoyed it, I guess.
Dude, but it was still fucking... I'm just saying...
Of course I had fucking fun. It was fun. It's just... it's not as good as those other ones.
No. I read a lot of cat
that
books.
Shit is that is my standard. That is my standard now.
Well, you know you'll probably find a new standard at some point, though.
That's probably true.
Because there are 1 million cat books for some reason.
Well, you know, for anyone who made it this far or gave a shit about listening to any of this at all, I hope you enjoyed the fuck out of it. I hope you got about as drunk as we did, because...
I hope you got very fucking drunk, because I'm, like, dead.
I've lost many a day to this book, so I hope that you did just as well as we did.
That sounds like you've, like, just been, like, reading for days.
No. I mean, I get stuck in a thing and then I pass out. Either way.
I get really drunk, I read books,